Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming on time.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Michelle, wow, long time no
Hi.
see.
Yes.
Wow,
Hi, Eugene.
you look happy.
Hi Willie, hi
Yeah, thanks.
Boon Leong.
Hello. Hi,
Hello
Eugene.
guys.
Good morning.
Good.
Hey, Charlie. Good morning.
Hi Willie, hey Boon Leong.
Hello, Bo Leong. Bo Leong is Charlie's friend, is it?
Yeah, I know Charlie through a talk he conducted many months back.
Oh, okay. When you say many, I thought many years.
No.
Many months. Yeah. Wow, someone's name is very interesting. I don't even know how to read. Hi. What? Cheng Hao. Okay. Wing Kwong Wee. Hello, can you hear us? Wing Kwong Wee. Wing Kwong Wee. Hello. Can't really hear you. I think you're muted. Isaac Ong. We haven't started the
Hello.
webinar. Just say hi. Can we just see your video for a while? Then when we start the webinar, of course, you can black out your screen. Oh, hi. Isaac Ong. Hi. Wow, you're all the way in the Northern Hemisphere. Okay. Joseph Fu. Alvin Sim. Just to say hi early in the morning. Mike Lee looks familiar. Where have I seen you before? Who else is here? Oh, 13 people waiting for me. So sorry. Okay, I'm gonna make Willie the co-host. Zachary is here. Okay. Wow, Zoom is so much better than a live meeting. No need to take attendance. Everybody's name is clearly shown. Okay. The more I use Zoom, the more I love it. I think even after circuit breaker, we should just keep on using Zoom for SG100 meeting. Hong Bun, right? Or Boon Leong? Hong Bun.
Boon Leong, yeah.
Boon Leong. Boon Leong, have you attended any other SG100 meeting?
No, man. This is my first one.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah.
Hope you like it.
I like your background. Very nice, Eugene. I like your background.
Thank you. Yeah, I love nature.
Nice.
I was supposed to travel the world this year, but everything cancelled. Very sad.
Yeah.
Okay, Carson is in the room. I have about 10 different backgrounds for different parts of the day.
Oh, wow. Really? Wow, nice.
Yeah. Must use my imagination. Although I'm trapped in a house, but must imagine I am traveling the world.
Good.
Yeah. Actually, imagination is much more powerful than reality.
Yes, it is. You travel quite a bit, Eugene?
Yes. For work. I speak and cook around the world.
Okay.
Wow, quite a number of people. It's 10 a.m. Thank you for coming on time. I am Eugene Xia, the head of membership at SG100 Foundation. Okay, we are still waiting for a few more to come. So let's get to know each other first, shall we? Okay. Later during the talk, feel free to mute yourself and also black out your screen. Right now, let's get to know each other first. So can you please all show video? Because I'm going to randomly call upon some people to get to know you. And then I'll introduce the speaker. Okay, let's look at Paxton. Paxton looks very young. Hi, Paxton. Are you still schooling?
Yes, hi, I'm in Poly. I'm currently on an internship
Wonderful. Internship where?
at Deloitte. I'm doing auditing.
Auditing. And for how many months? Is it 6 months?
Yeah, so 6 months. So I'm currently on my third month already. I have 3 more months to go.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've been working from home for So yeah, it's pretty nice.
Don't worry, there's no one from Deloitte here. Feel free to tell the truth. How do you know about this event?
Willie is my mentor, so I was invited to this.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. You have a very
Yeah.
good mentor. Okay, thank you. Please mute yourself. And then can I see Joseph Fu? Joseph Fu, are you there? Joseph Fu? Okay, no response. Zachary, can we take a look at you? Zachary, these of us may not be very familiar with how Zoom works. Huh? When I call you, you have to show your video and unmute yourself. Okay, this is a gathering. This is not what you call it? Stanford University lecture. You can all black out and watch. So this is a chance. Okay, never mind. Okay, Lai Chan Lam. Lai Chan Lam. There's something strange, Either y'all cannot hear me or what's going on. Lai Chan Lam, Zachary, Joseph. Okay, Win Sang. Hey, hello. You're muted. You're muted.
Hey, hello. Hi,
Hey,
everyone. Hi, Eugene. Good to see you again.
Hey, very good to see you again. You got to know this webinar through my Facebook, is it?
Yes. Through your Facebook.
Very good. And this is your first SGR event, huh?
Yes. So really excited to learn more from you guys.
Wonderful. Lots to learn. I'm also excited. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Currently 9 people in the room. Somebody's sound is on. Let me see. I'm like playing game, to search for people making noises and mute you. Okay, can everyone practice a few things? Number one, can you practice giving applause using the button? Can you see that at the bottom of your screen, there is a reaction button, and you can either show thumbs up or show applause. Okay, so let's practice applause using the button. This reminds me of my student council days. I have to practice applause with all the students. Okay, now practice thumbs up. Okay, I have to mute Carson though. Hope you don't hate me. Okay, good. And then now let's practice the chat. At the bottom, there's something called CAT chat. This is a very good platform for you to ask questions and give comments. So right now, I would like you to share share your feeling this morning. Okay? Are you excited? Are you feeling sexy? How are you feeling? Okay, please. Really excited, wonderful. Okay. Let me see. Wow, I have to search who is making noises and mute you. Okay. Excited. Okay. Let me make my buddy a co-host. And let me make the two speakers co-hosts. I'm actually very, very honored to partner our two speakers today. Yeah. Who has ever met Charlie before in person? Can you put his name? Charlie. Okay, in the chat box. Okay, whoever met Charlie in person before, please put Charlie. Okay. Very good.
Morning, everyone.
Leong, very good. Hello. Morning. Wow, a lot of people know Charlie. A lot of fans here. Nita knows Charlie, Michelle knows Charlie, Roger knows Charlie, Lai Chan put Charlie best. Wow, Lai Chan even changed Charlie's surname for you. Okay, very good. Okay, Willie, of course, knows Charlie. and Roger attended his class before. Wonderful. Now, who has seen Willie before? Willie Tan. Can you put Willie? Willie. Okay, this is our two speakers today. Eric has met Willie. Isaac has met Willie. Andrew has met Willie. Wonderful, wonderful. Michelle met Willie. Paxton met Willie because Paxton is being mentored by Willie. Very good. Alvin Lim, Willie. Parwin Hitra Tiprasan. Hey, let's get to know you. Where is Parwin? Can you just show yourself for a while? I would like to get to know you. Hello, Parwin. Yeah, can I hear you? Hi.
Hi, morning.
Can you share how you know Willie?
Oh, we used to be in Prudential. I was in Prudential together with him last time.
Okay. And then now you left.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. Very nice to meet you.
Hello, hi.
Hello. Oh, you're outside. The weather looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. And who has met Eugene before? Who has met Eugene? Put the name Eugene in capital letter. Yeah. I'm very thick skin on. Yeah, I like a lot of affirmation. Elvin met me before, but how come I never met Elvin before? Okay, no. Eric Low, very funny, humorous. Wow, Nita say never. Very good. Even go to your house, also never. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, who has never met any of the three of us before? Just put zero. Put zero. Okay? Put zero. That means you have never met Willie, Charlie, or Eugene in person. Put zero. Oh, don't have. Okay, so that means all of you have met one of us before. Okay, very good. Okay, without further ado, now it's already 10:08, and I want to thank Mike for helping me to admit people in the room. That is a great help. He is Mr. Initiative. Really, without him in my life, I don't know what to do. Other than my wife and mother, of course. Yeah. Must state disclaimer now, this kind of thing. Okay, now I'm going to share screen and introduce SG100 a little bit, just very briefly, and then I'll pass on the time to Willie to share the main topic for today. Okay, just be patient with me a little bit. Okay, this is the opening screen. Just to introduce, for those who may know what Charlie, but not know Willie, he is Financial Services Director of Prudential, essentially, and he's also the co-founder of some businesses, including Mirage Lab, that deals with VR. And then he has worked extensively on topics dealing with strategy, economic development, productivity across a wide range of industries. Okay. By the way, he's engineering trained, and he's a financial expert, so he has really the best of both worlds. And he recently graduated from Harvard Business School. He's the only financial director in the world who graduated from Harvard Business School. Okay, and Charlie, of course, all of us should know, he's a very famous global futurist. Lots of newspapers, TV interview him about the global trends. Okay, he's also a disruption analyst and transformation strategist, advising governments as well as private institutions. He's the founder of something called Everything 4.0, which is a future readiness agency. He's also an ambassador of Singularity U, the local chapter of the Singularity University worldwide. Okay, so I'm very honored to have both of them. Today we are going to discuss, so both of them will discuss the same topic, which is what kind of insights do we have to succeed in the post-COVID world. We're still in the middle of COVID, yeah, but SG100 is not interested to deal with current only. That's why it's called SG100. You know, Singapore is 55, but we are planning for 100. So we are always looking at the future, which is why I joined it 4 years ago, you know, because I also like to embrace the future. So the three main topics is, how does the future landscape look like? So we'll look at some statistics given by Harvard Business School, as well as Charlie Ang's proprietary statistics. How do you grab? Well, this one is like sponsoring Grab. Okay. Next time cannot use this word. Okay, sounds like Grab sponsor our webinar. How can you grab opportunities? Because you can know what the future landscape like, but you can actually do nothing about it. I always tell a lot of my clients and friends, there are only three kinds of people in the world when it comes to the future. The first kind are people driving the bus, right? They are leading the future. The second group they are on the bus but not driving. They are following the future. And the third group, they are not on the bus. Okay, they are left behind by the future. So this second topic is very important. How do you grab opportunities for the future? And number 3, talking about career. Okay, career can mean your business or actual full-time employment. Is your career recession ready? Okay, we are now entering recession, and who knows how long this will drag on. Some of us will thrive, like Zoom is thriving. We are using Zoom right now, and some of us will die. Okay, so how do you make sure your career is recession ready? Okay, a little bit about SG100. I'm sure all of us know this man. He needs no further introduction. God bless his soul. So he has said before in 1965 that we intend to see that Singapore will be here 1,000 years from now, and that is your duty, everyone on this call, and mine meaning Lee Kuan Yew. Okay, so SG100 is a ground up movement, not set up by PAP. Okay, we are ground up. It's actually founded by a guy called Dennis Ng. He is a very famous educator in Singapore, and Willie is one of the first few to join him, one of the pioneering leaders of SG100, and then Willie introduced me to it, and I immediately bought into the vision, and I became a volunteer. So all of us are volunteers. No one is a paid staff. And in this book by Lim Siong Guan and his daughter called Winning with Honor, it shows all the great empires of the world throughout history. And I got a shock when I came to this page. Okay, do you notice duration in years? Like no matter how strong empires are, they disappear. Okay, no empire lasts forever. So Singapore is only about 55. Who knows how long we can last? So SG100 wants Singapore to thrive for longer, not for shorter. Okay, I want my children, my great-grandchildren, all to thrive, not just this generation. And by the way, if you resonate with this vision of making Singapore thrive beyond our generation, can you put the word thrive? Okay, test your spelling skill. See whether you know how to spell thrive. Okay, type in the chat box, thrive if you want Singapore to go beyond our current generation. So the vision is to protect, preserve Singapore for perpetuity. A lot of big words here, basically forever. Okay, we have 3 main missions. Number 1, we want to build on the legacy of our founding fathers. Okay, they have done a lot for Singapore already. They have brought Singapore to where we are today. I think it is up to us to continue carrying this baton and running even faster. Number 2, we want to unite people in Singapore from all walks of life. This is something that resonates with me very deeply because there's a lot of cracks in Singapore. You know, I mean, I don't mind being super blunt. There are people who are like homophobias versus LGBT. There are different races with very subtle kind of racism. You know, there's ageism. A lot. By the way, I'm 44. When I was 38, I couldn't find a job. Yeah, so there's a lot of ageism. You know, people want to hire younger, cheaper people. People want to make older people redundant. Some of us may be the victims of this ageism. So we want to unite people from all walks of life. And currently, you know, all the foreign workers in dorms, they are facing a health crisis. So some of us are actively bringing food to them. Some of us don't care. Yeah, so us ourselves, are we uniting people in Singapore from all walks of life? And number 3, we want to advise and mentor the younger generation, which is why it's called SG100, okay, not SG45, not SG65. So we want as many young people as possible. By the way, if any of you have children, for example, in poly or uni or fresh grads, please introduce them to SG100. Okay, we want to mentor and advise them so that they can take shortcuts. You know, no point going through the same windy path and then failing in order to reach where we are. You know, we can share knowledge with them, and if they adopt our knowledge, they can be successful faster, not slower. Okay, so if you resonate with that, then you need to look at the next slide. Very, very important. Okay, we have put together 4 mentors to provide mentorship for free. Okay, so Willie will mentor on increasing market value and making good business and financial decisions. I will be mentoring the youths on finding calling in life and achieving abundance. And then Felicia is a very passionate educator. She will be mentoring in terms of how to become future smart, okay, to avoid redundancy. So especially if you're a parent, you need to connect with her. Okay, she's a very passionate educator for parents. And then Liu Yuan Tai, a very good friend of mine. He is a personal branding coach, and he will be mentoring the youths on how to brand yourself on LinkedIn and Facebook. to become the go-to expert in your field. Okay, so if you are 21 to 35, please be very careful about the next screen. Okay, be mindful. Take out your phone and get ready to scan the QR code. And if you have children between 21 to 35, also scan the QR code and sign up for them. Of course, ask them for permission. Okay, so for anyone aged 21 to 35, please pay attention to the next screen. Okay, I would like you to scan the QR code and to sign up. Okay, we will be interviewing all of them and selecting only 10. We'll be selecting 10 for the mentorship. Okay, but you sign up first and then we'll read through your reply before deciding whether to select you for the mentorship. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to scan and then I'll be quickly introducing Willie. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce Willie. He has freshly graduated from the Harvard Business School, and he gave me a sneak preview of all the things he learned, and my mind was blown away. Okay, he is very generous because lots of people graduate from Harvard Business School and they keep the information to themselves. Yeah, but Willie is very generous. He came back and he wanted to share with his team, and now even want to share with all of you. Okay, so can everyone please right now give a virtual applause to Mr. Willie Tan.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So it's really wonderful time to to catch up because it's a bittersweet kind of a feeling when we are actually very near to the end of the circuit breaker, and of course. Sweet in the sense we can go back as much as possible to the norm, but of course, bitter in the sense that you're going to lose a lot of your, a lot of family time together, because when we are during the circuit breaker, your children don't have to go to school, and you don't have to wait, and you're not allowed to step out of the house except for essential services. You actually spend a lot of quality time, that things that you usually wouldn't do with a family. So this is really something that will really change, the new norms that are coming, and whether we are going to remotely work from home, or is it really necessary that the kids need to go to school. In fact, my youngest kid, who's only like K2, a lot of parents were actually rallying. They say, we are not going to send our kids to the kindergarten because it's not so essential and not so important. Yeah. So
Really, can I interrupt you for a while? Sorry. I forgot to tell everyone something. On the top right corner, there is a speaker view. Yeah, so I think it's more helpful to see Willie up close so that he can share more information with us and we can potentially see his pimples. And then rather than gallery view, because most of you are blacked out anyway. Okay, so please switch to speaker view so that you can see Willie. Yes. Okay, please continue.
Thanks, Eugene, for that. Yeah. In fact, let's put it out this way. In fact, all of us are actually living through very interesting times. In fact, even pre-COVID period, most of us would actually know that we're also going through a biggest expansionary cycle ever in the history of human civilization. And I don't know whether it's a good news or not. This period, 2020, will go down in the history book for thousands of years of human civilization, when actually the whole world actually closed down for 2 months, and the whole world shut and closed shop for basically 2 months. And I think this is something that's never happened before, and there's a lot of repercussion, unprecedented things that we're probably going to show up very soon, and whether we are really prepared for it. So we need to understand the full scenario planning, what's going to really happen, and what we know before. So what I'm going to share screen now with you. Give me a minute. Can Eugene help me in case you're mute? or some? Can you see the screen clearly?
Yeah, I can see.
You can see clearly. Yeah. Okay. Because it's absolutely quiet here, so I just want to make sure I'm not I'm not talking to blank screen. Okay.
Don't
So
worry,
what you're
loud and clear,
yeah,
loud
okay.
and clear.
Okay, loud and clear now. Okay. So this is what this today's topic is about. Okay. So a lot of financial analysts or even a retail investor was trying to compare what has happened today in terms of this COVID crisis versus the financial crisis 12 years ago. Okay, so there's probably a concept which I would like to share with everybody here, which is the concept of what we call credit. Actually, credit is a very important component of the whole economic game, but it's usually the very little understood one. Okay, because maybe what we see now, the liquidity in the whole market, whether you're holding your cash or whether you're having your assets, credit itself is meant as an enabler for us. Whenever we have a certain productivity, that means you're actually willing to, your company is actually willing to pay you X amount of money, salary per month, and you accumulate your wealth in the whole process. But this is tagged to actually your productivity, how much value actually you give to the company or the industry they are in. But the credit is meant to help you to actually boost up your purchasing of assets, whether it's financial assets or whether it's a real estate asset, or even consumer consumption, personal consumption. So all this credit is actually helping a lot of this growth in what we always call the reflation cycle, where we are able to purchase things and that helps us to buy things that we usually can't afford now. And it helps us to prop up the asset value, the houses that you own, or even the equity that you own. Even sometimes, especially very popular in the last 12 years, a lot of people even took up loan to buy those universal life insurance, which is a single premium life insurance, to create a future value of your sum assured, passing on as what we call the legacy. So this credit thing actually came about, even in the 08, 09, and that's a point where a lot of people, especially who heard of the subprime crisis, a lot of US citizens were actually borrowing, and these are very low graded creditors, meaning they do not have a regular stream of income. They're probably not going to return the loan, and they may default on it. And exactly, there's a huge amount of this that lead to the subprime crisis and eventually lead to a credit crunch in 08, 09. So the big difference between today and the 12 years ago is, compared to 12 years ago, it was bought by a lot of massive negative shock. Banking sector then was in a bad shape. If you recall, Lehman Brothers goes down under, and then Citibank was trading at about $1. AIG almost went bust. And of course, a company like Prudential almost bought them over. So what we see that there's a lot of consolidation of the balance sheets from then on. So a lot of big banks actually become bigger. Bank of America, for example, merged with Merrill Lynch. And now we have the JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. Seriously, the past 12 years, their balance sheets go up a lot more and they don't have a liquidity issue now compared to 12 years ago. Okay, now, but the question is, how willing are the banks now willing to fund troubled businesses, which is a lot more. That means now today's crisis, what it affected is not just the banking sector or the credit crunch. In fact, it has already spread to generally aviation, tourism, F&B, retail. Generally, there's going to become some kind of domino effect. Of course, you got about CARES Act, PPP, whereby the America had a huge stimulus package to save American jobs. And this has happened in 27th of March this year, where they come with this CARES Act. So there's a lot of due diligence whether it can be, a lot of people may be exploiting this. But what I wanted to share is today's, in the market now, a lot of hedge fund and private equity are sitting on huge amount of cash, because for the past 12 years, so many of these funds, so many of these individuals who are wealthy, they took on the opportunity of all the quantitative easing, low interest rate, to borrow money and continue on the best 10 years of expansionary output, especially shown in the stock market. That's why even pre-crisis, we are looking at Dow Jones above 30,000, which is all-time high. And even in today, the drop is seriously only probably about 6,000 to 7,000 points from its high. But now, the big question now is, the uncertainty is how deep is this COVID going to be, and how long, whether it's going to be V, U, or L shape. Yeah. So now, there's a lot of things that we don't know than we already know. So will this actually go into a full-blown solvency issue? Meaning we already seen some trading houses like India go down under. how quickly will this economy really recover? Like what I mentioned, whether it's VU or L. Will our private sector investment capital really save the day? Or do we need to always look at it? Is the capitalism that we are so used to embrace? Because as you know, social capitalism, or what we call free economy, create a lot of positive externalities. Of course, it brought with it certain negative externalities as well. Yeah, will we even bring in we sort of let free economy let it to take care of all this, factoring in the cost of your positive and negative externalities. Meaning, of course, in a free economy, whether you are a butcher, you are a florist, or you are a butler, or a wine cellar, the reason why you are willing to produce your goods and services, for the person who's willingness to buy, it's not out of charity, it's not out of goodwill. I know you want to just do good for everybody. It's because you expect, when you provide a certain sacrifice, you want to have a certain returns from your customer and consumer. And this is what we call, from Adam Smith, the invisible hand, which create what we call the laissez-faire economy. And that leads to the modern day capitalism that we have today. And we try to have minimum state intervention. But seriously, now we're in the sector and that we think of capitalism, is it still able, or he has actually created so much ill views that we have today? So a larger company will probably fare well, okay? And then what happened to all SMEs in Singapore or in the world? And private or public sector rescue financing, would they save the right kind of company? That we do not want to bail out people who simply took a gamble for their own personal sake. And eventually we bail out people who are just supporting themselves. And we don't want to do that, yeah? Okay, this is to give you an example of what is so different. Because you look at the amount of quantitative easing in 2008-09 versus what is happening now. Oh my goodness, this is really, what we thought that 08-09 was unprecedented. But we look at seriously what's happening now. Most of the quantitative easing, of T1, 2, and 3. A lot of it go to what we call your Economic Stimulus Act. That means you pump up liquidity. Central bank print money, lower interest rate. Hopefully, banking sector will have its full liquidity to lend again. And then, of course, you've got your TARP 208. TARP actually stands for Troubled Asset Relief Program, which means there are certain corporate bonds which are junk grade. The liquidity is meant to buy them, so that you normal consumers are not going to see their financial assets which are invested in go into zero. Or especially the US, there's this 401k program. Of course, Recovery and Reinvestment Act in 2009. So this is what has the money gone to. You look at the scale of it, in billions of dollars. So we are looking at the TARP itself is probably about $750 billion, and the American recovery is near to about probably $800 billion. But now we look at what has happened in the Coronavirus Aid and Security Act this year. It is enacted as a law. And you look at the breakdown, we are looking at 2.2 trillion stimuli. That actually, now if I'm not wrong, it's gone up to 3 trillion stimuli. And it's mainly what it goes to is unemployment insurance, payment to households, small business loan, loans to airlines, loans to businesses, aid to states. Okay, to help you to understand the concept, again back to the credit thing I actually mentioned, you always must remember a person's spending is actually another person's income. So when the economy, we will have various multi-billion gears that we form up. For example, if you are like I saw Nita here, if Nita sells you a pair of a bespoke pair of shoes, she actually earns an income. And when she earns an income, she will consume in the restaurant. She also pay the rental towards her landlord, wherever she's based in. So this is a function of a gear. So when the person actually buys something, he can actually use his own cash, which is what he really owns, or in the form of credit. And most of the time for big ticket item, there's a huge thing called credit that's going around. In fact, the actual credit that has grown is probably 90% of the real money that's going around now. That means even my house may not be fully paid for. The banks actually still owns a significant portion of my house. So what this whole gear system can carry on is because economy, a person must have a complete transactions between A and B and towards C. And this is how we continue to have this economy going. If we suddenly jam brake, everybody stop earning money. Everybody is just holding on to whatever cash they have. This is what we call the paradox of truth. where there's a state intervention that needs to come in. Some of the salary I need to pay is actually subsidized by the government, 75% for these 2 months, and subsequently 25% until October. This is something that's unprecedented because we need to understand there are two main components, of state intervention. One is called the central government, which is basically represented by, for example, the Trump administration in the US. And of course, there's what we call a central bank. Central bank cannot do what I show you all here, unemployment insurance payment to households small. They can't do it. What they can only do is to lower interest rate and to print money. And when we print money, please do not misunderstand, it's going to be in the form of printing really notes. It's a kind of a digital kind of thing that, okay, I'm going to give you this digital amount, I'm going to use it to buy your corporate bonds, government bonds especially. So when the US government actually, how do they raise funds to pay for all this? It's actually issuing a lot of this government bond, letting the Fed Reserve an infinite buying of this to create that liquidity so that they can put money into the unemployed hands, get them to spend again, get them to have bridging loans to small businesses to tide over that few months, if not years. So this is how the state intervention has gone to such an extent that we don't know what is going to happen where because where we have such a budget deficit, because they definitely spend more than they are taking in taxes now. We seriously don't know what repercussion it can be for many countries to come. Okay, so this is an example of the impact of various sectors, yeah? And then one thing I want to maybe let you pay attention to is the sudden spike. This is only for March. I believe now in the latest stats, I think there are another 2.8 million unemployment this week, from the US side. So this spike in unemployment claims is especially affecting the bottom 40% of the US citizens, meaning those people who are earning less than 15 to 20 US dollars per hour. And this is a record, even comparing to 06, during the 08, 09, as you see the spike here. Yeah. And then this is a projection of the GDP growth from Goldman Sachs, where they expect, pre-crisis level that, wow, there's still minimum growth. So you can see even pre-crisis, right? I can see that actually our economy is actually in a very frail condition. You look at it, most of the mature economy, your G7, most of them are looking at, 0.7, 0.2 to about 1.8. Italy is doing, even pre-crisis, is actually a very frail economy, with a very aging old age population. But now we look at it, with the crisis, we are looking at negative 11.6%, for Italy, and negative 9.7%, and so on and so forth. 9.3% for Switzerland. And of course, they did a projection, that what's going to happen. This is a year-on-year projection. So next year, 2021, they expect a rebound. So they expect a rebound because we are already in a very low denominator this year. So they expect factory output to start again. No, they can't afford to have a negative, this kind of growth for negative 2 years consecutively. So what you notice is a lot of countries are in a hurry to ease the restriction on the lockdown. Because the factory, if they're not opening, unemployment rate keep on doing that. There's so much you can cover, and we don't want to kick the can down the street. That we are not going to use future money to keep on funding this state intervention. So this is what is generally happening on a macroeconomics point of view. And this is for Deutsche Bank, another scenario projection. This is what you see. 2020, of course, Italy again, the negative 8.7. Italy, Spain have always been like brothers in arms. And then this is, you see, what I like to bring notice to is, of course, China. China, in fact, this morning, if you read the Straits Times, they have actually forsaken looking at any GDP target for this. And this is the first time in history, China actually don't even want to report what's the GDP growth target for this year. So they forget about what's happening in 2020. They're looking forward to 2021. Expected Deutsche Bank projection 11.9%. And this is a very interesting graph, which I would love to note. Let you all take a look at this because, okay, let me help everybody to explain what this graph is all about. On the y-axis is the high vulnerability towards the economic crisis due to the COVID, and this is the low vulnerability. And this, the government capacity, that means your political capacity to be able to hold your citizens together, able to get your citizens, there's no quarrels, there's no NATO, you know, what you think you need to do right, you execute it ruthlessly and with precision. So this is low capacity and high capacity here for the government. And of course, you see this little bubble, these blue bubbles, right? Actually, the bigger the bubble is, the better it is in terms of the healthcare preparedness, because that means you have enough hospital beds, you got enough ventilators, you got enough of the equipment, you're ready for a huge influx of patients. So let's look at Singapore. If I can bring your attention to Singapore as an example, we actually have a very high political capacity. Meaning, what the ministry or minister think that is right, you're put into an act straight away. It's almost like straight away. We have a lot of bills, a lot of acts that is put into force, you know, in a very short time. And we have a decently big size healthcare preparedness. That means we have enough of this hospital, doctors, nurses to look after our patients. But I think all of you would have noticed by now, we have a very high vulnerability towards the economic crisis that we are going to face. This is where we are. So you look at, if you ask me, the best is actually Norway. Yeah? Norway has a very high political capacity, you know, to say what the citizen need to do. They will do it. Of course, they got a very big bubble here, meaning their healthcare is very well prepared for COVID. But most importantly, because they are a very commodity-based, very oil-based, commodity export-driven economy, right? Their vulnerability towards this crisis is actually not very high. So this gives us a warning sign. If with most of us here later, which I'm going to share about and probably ask a few of today, whether are you prepared for this? Is because Singapore, as we all know, we are a very export-driven economy. In fact, during this crisis, we still have a positive growth in our export, due mainly to the pharmaceutical last month. But this may not be able to last forever. Most of our GDP export-driven is through your chemicals, petrochemicals, electronics, and of course, pharmaceuticals and services. This is a big component of our GDP makeup. Do you know, just to let you know, Singapore, we relatively have a very low level of personal, or what we call discretionary consumption, which is optional consumption. That means most of us actually don't spend a lot on consumption ourselves as a percentage of GDP. So our GDP the consumption is roughly about 15% of GDP makeup. We depend a lot on our foreign direct investments. We have decent government fiscal stimulus in terms of government expenditure, government spending, but we have a very huge export-driven economy, like what I mentioned. But the scary thing, we are also a very import-dependent economy. Basically, what you consume, your food, your furniture, your things that you need, your apparel, mostly are imported. Even, of course, your raw material, your sand, you know, your construction materials, or even your laborers, is a lot of imports from that. So this is exactly where I would love to share this is, whenever you look at the COVID, it actually accelerates certain trend that's even pre-COVID. As you know, there's a tug of war between China and US. In fact, it started off just like in the lead up to Second World War. UK and US were then economic powerhouse, and they have huge influence all over the world, especially after the World War I. But the Germans and the Japanese, they actually built up their capabilities in manufacturing and the war. They started off as a kind of economic rivalry to the superpower. And in those days was US and UK. And of course, you know, Germany and Japan came out as a very strong economic rivalry and eventually antagonized them, and that actually leads on to World War II. Today, we have the same situation. When China entered WTO, World Trade Organization, in 2001, it has actually led a very it has actually become the world manufacturing powerhouse. And I would say it's a manufacturing powerhouse without equal, whereby almost everything is being manufactured in China. And they took away a lot of primary investment in emerging economies like Portugal, like Mexico, Eastern European. They basically suck up everything. And that's how China become very wealthy over the years. And coupled with the low interest rate in the last 10 years, they start to build on their capabilities. Now, US will see China as a kind of economic rival. Actually, they have been aware, that wary of this, that they're excusing them of being thieves, stealing their intellectual property, even threatening to delist the China companies that's in NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. So what we see now is what we call a deglobalization, and especially when there's a lot of blaming. So all this blaming will actually hurt bilateral relations. Even Australia is actually asking China to probe into the COVID crisis. The Westerners are joining the gangs of the US to get some explanation to do from the China. So deglobalization is actually further accelerated. And Singapore, our Laupan, which is we started off as a big entrepot trading hub, even in Raffles time. So this is where we are very concerned, where we need to be that middleman. We need to be that strong trader in the region. We benefited a lot from all these free trade agreement, FTAs. And what I'm concerned is what globalization has done well for us and what economically it does for the whole world. It's actually suddenly put to a test, whereby we see it even within the EU, there's a beginning of distrust among them. For example, Germany, in fact, halted some deliverables of these essentials like masks and ventilators to Italy, during the peak of the crisis. And in fact, it's China who go and help them out, the Italian. Because what we always benefited from this is, why is there always free trade? We must understand, each of us has certain bandwidth to do certain things. If I'm so good in producing wheat, and you are so good in producing corn, why don't I just focus on producing my wheat and you produce your corn? And effectively, we have economies of scale, and I will trade, with you. I will get whatever I need for the corn that you give me in exchange for the wheat I'm going to give you. So this is exactly how the free trade come about, where we have this thing called comparative advantage that actually leads to a more efficient pricing, more efficient productions of raw goods and materials, and of course product and services. But this graph actually sort of hits me a lot, because exactly Singapore is not in the very good quadrant. I would love to see them in the top right quadrant, but we are actually in the bottom right quadrant. Of course, the worst people to be is people like Iran. We are in the extreme of the bottom left quadrant, where you have found high vulnerability, and low capacity. Africa as well. And don't forget, Africa has already got a huge percentage of people who are HIV positive. And coupled with the COVID, the underlying condition will actually pump up. And that's why they have got a very, very small little dot here for their healthcare preparedness. This is so far for my graph this time. Yeah. So what I see here, what is going to be some kind of, in summary, kind of economic structure and social cultural implication of pandemic. This is what actually going to happen. Deficits all over the world definitely rise. Now it's already 1.1 trillion. Just to let you know, the debt to GDP for US is now all-time high. It's at about 110%. Which means their debt, what they owe to people, is actually what they need 1 year of their GDP plus another 10% to pay back one. Since the worst case is Japan, which is about 220% debt to GDP ratio. And this will still go up, definitely, with all this state intervention that you see this year. Debt will increase definitely. Monetary authority will print more money. Depreciation of currency will come in, because US is in a unique situation, because US dollar is still the reserve currency. So they are not so concerned about depreciation. But yet, emerging economy, which depends a lot of their trade and providing Uncle Sam, if they were to print more money, that will only create hyperinflation in their own economy, which I'm afraid it will lead to more unrest. Debt service, will raise government deficit, create more depreciation. Some states, even schools, they'll cut services or go bankrupt. Yeah. Healthcare, it actually gives the things that a lot of people were actually uninsured in US, and then they will look at universal healthcare. There should be some credence for that. Minimum wages, the talk about minimum wages comes in again. Yeah. Globalization, as you can see, deglobalization efforts, climate change. All these important topics like climate change and trade talks will have to take a back seat because now we are focusing on this vaccine or the rapid testing. Need for global cooperations. Trump withdrawal aid. This is of course the latest one is they stopped funding the WHO, and of course making the China's Belt Road Initiative even look more attractive. That means, and all along China has always believed that they should have the kind of superiority and influence in the whole world. And all along in the last thousands of years of history, it's only the last 200 years they sort of lost that. So I think this DNA in them is still very, very significant. They are still looking at, and I think for all to see, the Belt Road Initiative is a very, very strong indication of their ambition to be a world power. Okay, supply chain definitely disrupted. You know, even supply chain, like whether people are keeping stocks, whether people can still move goods, logistics, around, US-China, lowest point. Yesterday, the US tension created a big hoo-ha. Hang Seng dropped 1,300, 5% drop in a single day. Okay, emerging, whether EU, we are talking about this, whether EU can still stand after 20 years of history, whether they can still be around. Emerging, huge capital outflow, lacking resources, definitely. And a lot of debt were actually owed to the China. A lot of emerging market, especially in the African continent, the Sub-Saharan African continent, they're actually owing huge amount of money to China. And of course, the criticism by the Republic. Okay, these are more of the US. Okay, let me just small businesses. Many may not even recover. Preschool. We are seeing already. There's even more inequality when your children are at home. Whether the parents, some parents can take care of the children, but not all can take care of them. So it actually created a wider dichotomy of inequality. Yeah? And of course, retirement, those people who are in the midst of 50 plus, they may not have earned fully. They have not reached the CPF minimum sum retirement age. So they may not even start getting paid out, for their CPF life. Savings, they're likely to, we are likely to save more, because now we don't spend, we are likely to recover some of the losses that we have in terms of salary losses. Okay, travel, this is something very interesting that I would like to share with you. Travel is a big part of our life, especially in Singapore. We love to travel for business or for leisure. What the trend now is what we see. There are more and more what we call travel bubbles. Okay, this is already happening in Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, whereby these three Eastern European countries have proven that they can control the coronavirus pandemic very well. So within the three countries, they were grouping themselves into bubbles of region that we allow you to come in, without quarantine. The same thing, if people would go to your country, I don't need to serve any quarantine days. And I'm seeing this more and more. Australia and New Zealand, definitely, this is another bubble. So Singapore itself, we will look at some of the matrix that we have. We may even be a travel bubble between us and, let's say, Korea and Taiwan. Or China, definitely. China, Korea. This is where they will say that, okay, we have sort of make this pandemic in control. We may form a bubble ourselves. This is a trend that I felt it's going to be a start of phases of we going back to norm again. Of course, infrastructure, incentive to divert stimulus, to rebuild infrastructure. That's why you see the terminal. Now we want to speed up the terminal, and in fact we close one, to speed up the new terminal infrastructure. Yeah, a lot of colleges and universities are suffering, especially in the US. Yeah, of course, home learners work from home. What we are doing now in Zoom. And later I'm going to talk a bit about AI and digitalization, about what is the trend of this, because it's sort of accelerated. Of course, nursing home delivery will increase, and use of credit card will definitely increase. Okay, now what does all this thing that I talk about mean for you? Just like I talk about economy as a whole, as a big picture, what macroeconomics is going to be, and what locally, what Singapore is going to face. Now we are looking to bring a step forward to look at what industry are you in, what company, what role are you playing in the company, and so that what impacts you. Definitely, and that's, I think this is what you all are coming here for. Okay, may I just do a very short survey, if you can answer in the chat, or maybe if Eugene can help me if we do this survey, right? Okay. If you can see, this question I'm asked is your industry. How essential is the work that your industry or company does at this time? Your answer can be high, medium, or low. Right? I give you some time to think about it. And how dependent are your customers on the work of the industry and firm? And how strong is anticipated demand for the industry's organization or service? Okay, I think all of you have your own answers. Okay. The next, your job. That means your job. How essential is your work, skill set, essential to your, are you a call center, which is totally redundant now? Are you a revenue generator? How strong is the demand, anticipated demand for your skill set? And how strong a performer are you relative to your peers? That means, are you a strong performer or not? Are you those people that are on the ranking of 1 to 10? If you have 10 employees, you are the bottom 2 or you're the strongest 2. Again, the answer is very, somewhat, not very. Yeah. And then you yourself, now that it's about your job, now we look inside ourselves. Whether how much satisfaction do you derive from the things, the tasks of your role? And how much satisfaction do you derive from your colleagues and your team? And are you advancing, in your company? And are you compensated? How satisfied are you? Are you compensated fairly in the first place? Maybe it's time to look back and say, maybe I'm not compensated fairly in the first place. So the answer can be a great deal, some, and a very little. So again, just what I did is when I talk about the economy, now I'm going to talk about, of course, the industry, the company, the role they're in, and finally you. So this is where we actually will phase out, where you are, whether you do, if I put things all together, does it make sense to stay where you are now? Stay where you are because you know that your industry is doing well. In fact, now the richest man in Singapore, if I'm not wrong, is actually overtaken the Philip Ng family, just because of the COVID, because due to the ventilators. Yeah. And then prepare for a change or make a change now. Yeah. And if change is in your future, taking stock, that's what we are doing now. Economy, the company, and your self-assessment. Now we are taking stock. How do you identify A, B, or C plan? What's the direction going to be? And we ask ourselves seriously, do you have that kind of transferable skill set? And how do you market yourself? Resume, your cover letter, or even your LinkedIn profile and your biography. And what kind of opportunities? Opportunity can be something like this, where we have a Zoom webinar, where we get to know people. There may be people who are employing, people looking for opportunities. There are also people who are needing some kind of skill set, and they are looking for their friends. Job posts. For example, there's a lot of job opportunities now in healthcare and in fact in healthcare tech. Yeah, there's a lot of funding that's driving this COVID driven healthcare tech funding. So how do you communicate and pitch? How do you sell and market yourself? Whether you're well, you can make informational conversation. Whether you are well prepared for your interview. So these are the steps that probably you need to take. In order to keep yourself, still trapping in the water. Yeah. Okay. These are some of the key transferable skills which I always felt that even for my kids, I told them whether you are good in math, you're good in sciences, in humanities, all these are very core technical knowledge. Actually, more important thing is, I always say is if 2 students can get an A, for example, for physics or math, I would like to know actually how you get your A is more important. Whether you really do through rote learning or do you really understand the question. So there's a lot of things that is challenging your critical thinking here. That you need to think without dependent on other people's view. Do you have your own point of view and your own insight? Of course, this calls time for strong leadership, whereby when we are in COVID crisis, all the more it's the best time for you to show that you are able to see certain things and you're able to lead your company, your team out of this crisis. You know, technical, of course, that's your expertise, technical knowledge and communications, your ability to multitask, and because your teamwork, you know, whether you're a sole player, you're just a one team player, or you're a multi-players team, yeah. And of course, your creativity. So you must have examples of transferable skills and stories that make them come alive, such that you're able to market to the next employer, or even you're thinking of changing job now, or if you're retrenched or laid off, how fast are you able to come up? Yeah, and these are the skill set that you should build and you apply somewhere where, yeah. If you can take a screenshot of this. I think this is where the skill set. I think it encompasses the majority of the what most job description would require. Okay, now I would love to, because I want to keep it short, because I wanted to explain to you all actually what this COVID has done. If you know the equity market actually is a showcase of what the real economy really desires. Because prior to this COVID crisis, already we know Amazon, Google, Facebook, Alibaba, Tencent are doing very well. In fact, these are what we call the digital models. Digital models whereby there's an iPhone infrastructure, because all of us now owns a computer in our hands in the form of our iPhone. And we are having that infrastructure and 5G, 4G, 4G with 5G coming in. We are used to having digital, we are so used to even have digital payments, social media. So I would like to share with you, this COVID simply accelerated this digital transformation of our industry and our economy. And if you look at the global technology funds, if you look at all the global tech companies, in fact, they have already more than reached pre-COVID prices. In fact, this equity rally, mainly the beneficiaries are your big tech companies. They in fact become even stronger. You know, 08, 09, I would say that it's the big banks that have their balance sheet strengthened by state intervention become stronger. But this time round, I'm very sure it's the digital tech, big tech companies that is going to be doing very well. Okay, because I would love to draw attention to this curve here, where you create value. Where you create value, then people are willing to pay, and practical value. And these are the users. So a traditional model, right? This is how a traditional model works. This is a tangent that's drawn from this curve. Initially, when we start a traditional model where you have a franchise, you open up shops, open up retail, you have a restaurant, you open up, like Nokia, they built a lot of handphones, and they built a lot of different sets in terms of aesthetics. So they actually have a very traditional product business. Because to me, Nokia, if you recall Nokia, right, it is a very handphone focused business whereby you are looking forward to buy the latest model because of different looks, aesthetics of it and the trend. But eventually it tapered off because as more and more users use it, the value became sort of taper off from here. Okay, digital model. You'll be surprised. Apple iPhone has nothing sexy about its design. iPhone 3, when it first came out, it looks like almost a smaller version of this, maybe with a tab here, but it still looks like this. And nothing really big has changed. In fact, all the phone like Samsung, Apple, Huawei, basically they have generally taken the stance that, wow, standardization of phones should just look like this. But what they're building is like the iOS platform, the ecosystem of the entire platform, that it actually zoom a digital exponential growth in value over time. And this is what I want to share with you when I have my traditional model of business colliding at this point. When I collide at this point with my digital model, what is going to happen is the digital is going upwards here and the traditional is here. So this will actually create a stronger divide. Are you on the right side of the game or not? Are you on the right side of the digital model, or are you still stuck with the traditional product business model? Sorry. Hello. Okay. So this is what happens when a digital platform business. So now I'm actually focusing and extrapolating this. This is where the point collides, and this is where your exponential growth is n is power 1.4, and this one you notice is from negative 0.8. So this is where it tapered off to become like a straight line, and this is where it just shoot over the roof. The value they created. This is Apple versus Nokia. This is a very typical one. So what I would love to probably share with you all is, if I were to look at the business model, actually what do you mean by a business model is how a firm, which I define a firm as an entity that it creates certain value. It creates certain value by differentiation, efficiency, scale, and network. You also capture value because you need to have a certain revenue. When I price in, if I were to give you certain value, I need you to be willing to pay a certain amount of money to me. It's through pricing, licensing, subscription, advertising, outcome based. This is where you capture value, And that, of course, be within the business model, we work out a whole operating model where there are structure, there are processes and assets. And these are the things: structure, platform, ecosystem, crowd, sales, CRM. These are your processes. And then, of course, you got your assets, your HR, your data, your IP, and APIs. So this is what a traditional operating architecture. So this is traditional architectural stuff is what created why a traditional business model is tapering off to a level field. Because a lot of times the structures is very siloed, meaning it's an individual functions of one another. Whether the marketing is looking at its own, the operations people are looking at its own, the finance is looking at its own, the HR is looking at. Everybody is having a silo. They don't talk to one another. There's always vertical integration. They keep doing something well and something good, better and better, very deep vertical that had come in. Of course, they got several product lines, just like Nokia. They got how many series, multiple series if I can recall. Optimized by product line, data analysis embedded in the product. So the processes is a very internal development, dedicated product team. So most of you, especially those who are not in tech firm, a lot of your companies and industry will have a high chance to be disrupted, because this is where the more COVID make us remotely work. This is what I mean by remote, whereby we don't need to go to anywhere to have a meeting with one another. We are transferring more data over platforms. When we talk, what are we talking about? What is the duration? All kinds of data that are feeding these component libraries. Because data is basically the fuel that feeds the whole business structure, the whole architecture of this thing. And they build your API. So the API start to talk to one another as well. So this open source and IP is actually accelerating this digital transformation of businesses, which I felt for us, in the businesses, if we know how to do it well, we because just share the example, because I happen to be from Prudential, as you all know. We have launched things like Pulse, whereby we are able to even tell when the client looks into his funds. We're able to tell when he sees a doctor. We know how he uses telemedicine, what kind of situation that we can monitor his heart rate, where can monitor his profile of his sleeping habit. So the more we know about person at certain hours, the physical density or the intensity of things working and activity working, and what is he doing and what leads on to another. And it's artificial intelligence driven process, because at the first place, a lot of the process and algorithm are standardized procedures for logical thinking. So artificial intelligence is speeding up this whole thing. Of course, a lot of people say that AI has been like a cliche. I've been hearing about this 30 years ago. But I can tell you, the biggest difference is the infrastructure now does accelerate this at the unprecedented rate. Okay, this is what I mean. Drive a change in operating architecture and product businesses into digital control networks. Yeah, this is what is happening now. Especially with this COVID, I think this will only accelerate. And we have certain norms. Because remember, what create new opportunity or new problem for industry? They are due to three things: change in demographic patterns, change in social norms, and change in technology know-how. And your ability, of course, in a way, is your ability to harness technology. And this is exactly what even Jeff Bezos, the richest man now on earth, by the founder of Amazon, even the year 2002, his mandate to his employee is this: your data and your functionality have to be exposed. Your team must communicate through these interfaces. There's no other form of inter-process communication. No direct linking, no direct links to analytics, no shared memory model, no. The only common is interface phase over the network. It doesn't matter what technology you use. And those who doesn't do this, right? Yeah, will be fired. So this is what why he's driving is actually to build this thing that makes Amazon today who she is today. So this is taking we are taking a lot of fraction, or some parts of it in looking at how Amazon builds this up. Is actually a very interesting model where we can actually duplicate parts of it in our business, and then we can rechange our architecture. So this is where the digital transform journey is all about. Your process improvement, integration, and then eventually it forms hub. There's a lot of hub formation where there's a lot of aggregation of the data, combination across different sources. Full of opportunities now. Yeah. And of course, data platform that we eventually better in this with AI data architecture. This is where the transformation stage. I believe just like a automobiles company like General Motors, which filed for Chapter 11. Should we actually look at GM as still looking at it as an automobile industry, or should we look at it as a tech company? Because they actually can, because of the vehicles they produce, they are able to track people's movement. And when you're able to track people movement on a big scale, you're actually able to have some AI data-driven business model to come up with. Yeah. And that's why when you see an insurance company, is an insurance company still becoming an insurance company? Just like, we know when a person claim, when a person buy, like just like Ping An Insurance in China. They are basically, do I call them an insurance company or should I call them a tech company? So this is where a lot of automobile, your old traditional model, I believe this is where the biggest chunk of the opportunity will come the next 10 years, which is already kick off. Yeah. And this is where we talk about systematic change. And now I believe we are in the Farabi's law, where, Moore's law, where we talk about transistor doubling every few years. That's where the Intel founder said, General's Moore's law. And then we have McAfee's law. We talk about information technology connects increasingly valuable networks. And now network evolution drives hub information. This is exactly where this, and this technology will extrapolate into the future that we have. Okay, so now we know that we're in the perfect storm today because we have a global economic impact, catastrophic definitely, and expect this to be a lot of aftershock which we don't know. Record business is going to default, restructure or go bankrupt. The likelihood and magnitude of the bankruptcy wave will likely be amplified, because in the past 10 years, ask yourself if you ask me in Singapore, how many people have at least $2 million of loan, whether it's housing loan, automobile loan, credit card loan, education loan. I tell you, plenty. 2 million is like a dime in a dozen. I can find anybody who's like that. And this, because of that amount of debt that we're taken, the deleveraging is going to be very painful if it leads to a huge asset losses. That means the things that you buy actually lose value, and you're required to pay. That means years of saving, years of hard work will actually be gone, and we're still bankrupt, and that will affect the next generation to come. Okay. So the rules of thumb that I can give every one of you here, make sure your debt growth is always lower than the income growth. Yeah, that's for sure. I think your mom will always tell you, do not borrow more than what you can consume. Your income growth, again, cannot be higher than your product. It can only be lower than productivity growth. Because don't be too happy you think that you're paid more than what you're worth. Because this cannot last. Especially now with a global auction, a globalized a network of people who are willing to work remotely elsewhere, I'm likely I can delegate some of this work to somebody else. So if you are not having the right productivity, your income growth will not last, and of course, most importantly is how do you raise your productivity. And this is exactly why Singapore government is pushing a lot of this incentive for you to go for retraining, reskilling. They even pay the employee $10 an hour under the scheme called the absentee payroll scheme, whereby you on top of your job support scheme, they are still paid $10 an hour to learn something, to pick up a skill, and the cost is 90% funded by SkillsFuture. So you realize so much budget is thrown into this because at the end of the day, we are a high-cost economy in Singapore. In order for us to see to SG100, the key thing is we have to be a point whereby we need to have a premium, but the premium need to be justified by your sheer productivity. Whether it's your diligence, whether it's your resourcefulness, whether it's your wide spectrum of your knowledge that you can apply, to create that value. Yeah, it's no longer a place whereby it's just some marketing or some branding that you just do. You need to really create that practical value. And my final thoughts is some personal lessons I had in my life that you don't work alone. Always have a team around you. Know your people and their limitations. Know yourself. Know thyself, and my own limitation as well. To have a clarity of thoughts is better than you try to have a perfect strategy. Yeah. And no direction is still better than a bad direction. Okay? And people are your processes, because people are the one who execute all these processes. And knowing your business model, at the end, your profit is equal to revenue minus cost. Yeah. Understand your true impact. Of course, we don't compromise our fun, pride, and ethics, which still holds on deeply rooted where we are. And we all of us here, whether you're in my Zoom mate today or in my team, or we are the SG100 Exco members, whether you're alumni of NUS, we all live in the same ecosystem here. So this is where I hope, I just got final thoughts I shared. And with this, I come to the end of my presentation. And yeah, I welcome any Q&A from, Eugene, you can.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Wow, there's a very big brain exercise. I'm like perspiring already.
Yeah, I hope it's not too. I try to rush it. I hope I keep myself in time. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on time. You're on time. Wow,
Yeah.
that's really a lot of information. I hope all of you had chance to take screenshots, pictures, and all that. Win Sang say really good. Thank you, really. I saw some questions. Really not enough question, but I saw some question. So while Willie answers this first question, I hope the rest of you can continue asking. Okay, we never truly learn until we ask questions. Okay, I repeat. If you don't ask questions, I doubt that you have learned anything. So the question is this, asked by Iskandar. What are the chances of World War III?
Yeah. Okay. You must understand that we look at world wars. We look at the World War II because there are certain patterns that happened during the Great Depression where there's a huge quantitative easing. That time there's a lot of printing of money that created a lot of hyperinflation in Germany, and that's where a lot of Nazis people come in, like Hitler. A very strong leader came in. But if you ask me now, the war, right? Is it really fought through flesh and blood? Flesh and blood, to me, it's not so much relevant, because the damage is too much. Because you see, the weapons of mass destruction is not unlike the past, whether you just have a tank or whether you are just having some soldiers and your artillery or your. But I can tell you, the weapons that we have today is simply creating too much mass destruction that it may not make sense to really have going to a World War III of that scale. Maybe we have definitely had some unrest. Maybe we have some proxy war going on, for example, now in South China Sea. You may have some vessels challenging some of these geopolitical region that create a bit of sense. Hey, I want to claim this and see, kachao you a bit and see what you say. So at the end, I look at it, it's going to be a very soft power thing where you actually fought by economy. That means your Belt Road initiative is already like one that I felt was having certain influence by lending a lot of money to emerging economy and demanding that they pay. Is a kind of soft power that I think as an educated population now, I seriously don't see a World War III that has to be fought in flesh and blood coming along. In fact, there may be more cyber war fighting. There may be even biohazard war. Who knows? Where does this COVID come from? Nobody knows how this war is going to turn out. It may be already a war instrument going on, because even Donald Trump proclaimed that actually this COVID is a war itself. And he utilized some of his rights and power only during wartime, during this COVID. Like the defense production, that he forced General Electric, to close down your manufacturing and make sure that you have the ventilators and masks for us. So he already acted like, as if it's a war, whether it's a Cuban crisis, whether it's your whatever, yeah. So I don't think so, yeah.
Thank you, Willie. Yuan Tai asked a question. Just now you gave us so many skill sets. It is quite overwhelming, right? And some of us struggle with even one skill set. So what will you think will be the top 3 skill sets based on your analysis?
Wow, top 3. It really depends on what you do, because okay, we look at Harvard Gartner have this seven different multiple intelligence. So we look at what is your intelligence line, whether it's analytical, body kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, linguistic, things like that. So if I look at one key skill set you must have is really critical thinking. That means we are all faced with different information. Do you know when we read a certain news today, right? All of us got different perspectives. And this perspective will lead us to think what we are going to do next. When we look at a certain product, for example, for me, when I look at a certain financial product that's launched by the company, I will have a different perspective for my client compared to any 1,000 other advisors. There is 1,000 other people who have different perspective. Why? So I think the most important, this critical thinking has never been more than emphasized as such an important skill set, because that's what determines your insight. Because prior to Google era, right, whereby we some people have proprietary knowledge. So that means they know something and it's not spread to another person. But now they after Google, information is everywhere, knowledge is everywhere. Now we need to have certain insights. We need to have certain insight, and yet there's a lot of insights that you can get from Bloomberg, from Financial Times, from the Economist magazine, from Times, from anywhere, even from Yahoo comments, you can have some insight. But what you need to decipher from this insight is, are you having that lenses? Yeah, do you have the right lenses to look at it from your economic lens, your legal lens, and your ethical lens? Because sometimes your insights may be that I can do a bit of economy, I want to gain something economically, but at the expense of legal lawsuits and ethical reprimand in the future. Are you ready to face up to it? Yeah. So critical thinking is definitely one. Teamwork, like what I mentioned, you must always understand, you yourself, no matter how smart or hardworking you think you are, right? You're always lonely. You only have certain hours. You only have 24 hours a day, and you have limited bandwidth. You need to sleep. You need to spend time with family, sports, eat, whatever. You need to have a team. You need a team to do certain things so that you can have the right outcome that we want to have. Yeah, and then your teamwork, leadership in that sense. And third, communication. Because your communication is something that you can have all the ideas, but are you able to let even a 5-year-old, understand? Even let your teammates understand. Just like last time I heard of a joke, when Albert Einstein, who actually who came up with the thought of theory of relativity, and he was talking to a 5-year-old boy. Then the 5-year-old boy was asking Albert Einstein, so what is a theory of relativity? So Albert Einstein was telling him, if you talk to your girlfriend next door for 5 minutes, you talk to your girlfriend next door for 5 hours, you feel like it's like for 5 minutes. But when you talk to your mother for 5 minutes, it feels like it's 5 hours. Yeah, that's the theory of relativity. So we need to have that communication to make the gist and the impact to the person. You need to know how much that person needs to know, and to his level of his understanding, such that he knows what exactly for him to carry out wholeheartedly. And that will fulfill that part of the puzzle of the overall vision for your company. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, thanks really for that. So essentially, it is critical thinking, leadership, and communication. I fully agree. Okay. Just one final question before we move on to Charlie, which is, okay. So for any industry specific question, I will wait until Charlie is done because he will be presenting a lot of data.
Yes.
Right now, I will ask more generic question, which is, let me see. So Nita asks industry specific, we'll wait until Michael Lim asks industry specific, we'll wait as well. Maybe something about inflation versus deflation, which Eric Lowe asked much earlier. Do you think in the next 3 years you will see deflation or inflation?
Okay, okay. Now I was trying to extrapolate what I shared just now about credit. So if you recall what I just said, a person's spending is another person's income. And this is multiple gears, forming the whole economy. And we are taking a lot of credit because of the low interest rate, a lot of people take more credit than ever. But because bopian now, because asset prices really jump up too much. So even HDB now costs you 600,000 for a BTO flat 5 room. So if you ask me whether your time when my parents' time, their rule of thumb is if I were to buy a house, I got to pay 5 times of annual income. So I cannot buy something that's more than that. But seriously, if today a person who just came out from work and you want to buy a HDB flat, it's usually more, even a HDB flat is more than 5 times the annual income. Because this allows, because there's huge liquidity and it's changing the way the old school of thought, how we consider as prudent. So what we are looking at now is definitely, are we going to deleverage? Deleveraging. So if you look at the process of deleveraging and inflation, right, it's actually a very calibrated balance act. We need to build it very carefully. If not, it can be a very ugly deflation, whereby your HDB flat, which you bought at 600,000, it can be worth only 500,000. That's the worst case you can imagine. So what I'm looking at now, if the gearing, the economy, people stop having jobs, unemployment shoots up too much so that it creates a domino effect, bankruptcy come in, there's a lot of forced sale, there's a lot of secondary sales that had already created such a condo, the things keep dropping. There's a huge bank valuation that will come and knock on your doors to call for a valuation top up. But what I'm glad is, at least for Singapore, I don't know for other countries, now at least the government allows some deferment of payment. This is also unprecedented. They allow you to defer your mortgage loan for 6 months towards the end of the year. Until the end of the year, then you can structure into a 5-year term loan. This will help you to cushion. This is actually what they are doing, right? To cushion what we call a deleveraging, where it will lead to deflation and asset prices. But because of the low interest rate, people at the same time are borrowing money to buy assets. Of course, now not many are buying residential estate. They are more buying stocks and shares, which is more attractive to them. But because we are met in a situation where the deleveraging comes in and we have record quantitative easing, printing of money, we are trying to balance it out until organically the productivity of our country can grow. So now my biggest question is, to answer your question is, how can Singapore go back to the days whereby there's a willingness to pay by top companies that Singaporeans have certain skill set that people don't have one, that we can command that kind of income, such that we can have a debt to our annual income to be considered decent. Just like debt to GDP, debt to household income, annual household income is a good indication. But how are we going to make sure that this will allow? So education actually plays a very big part for us. That's why even people like myself is the middle age.
Oops. Okay, looks like Willie is temporarily gone. Okay, let me take this. Willie, just now your video was stopped.
Oh.
Yeah, can you repeat your last sentence?
Yeah. Okay. Is it still okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So the question is, on the economic side, right? Your country, your productivity as a whole. If you look at Singapore, we need to pump up discretionary consumption. Which means we need to get people to spend again. We need to have foreign direct investment coming in to hold our asset classes. Whether your grade A office is being rented by people, whether your foreign direct investment coming, the expatriate are renting your houses or not. All this had a lot of repercussions. And then they start employing your workers, they start to employ giving high value job. Government stimulus package, there's so much you can do. The infrastructure, everything already, your Marina Bay, MCE, all the KPE, and then there's only so much you can do for government infrastructure building. Then your export, such that we must still hold manufacturing output, high value added manufacturing output as the core. I can think not everybody, we can't have everybody in the banks. We cannot have everybody working in Shenton Way and Marina Bay Financial Center. It's not going to create enough employment, and it's not wise as well. Services industry, we don't aspire to be, every one of us to be a tour guide, because we need to have a certain high value add research and development pharmaceutical research, especially, technology. We need to hold that because that's where all your patents come in. So your export value is not driven by the sheer volume of how many cartons of goods, but it's for every item and every unit you are able to derive a high value, so that when they derive the high value, I can convert to the income that for you. And that's how we can calibrate this deflation, right? Not so bad. And that's exactly in the next 3-4 years, we need to find our way out. Whether it's the next 3-4 years or in the long term, I tell you, even without this COVID, if we don't do this right, all of us will be poor. You'll never see a GDP per capita of Singapore. You will see lesser millionaires in Singapore. You will see lesser billionaires. Because at the end of the day, this country must survive to see to SG 100. The only way for it to do so is to ensure that our component X in the GDP equation must be a high value add GDP growth. And we are trying to be less import dependent, and we need to be keeping our foreign currency strong. And how are we able to do that? Again, it's back to your economy, your demand for your foreign currency, and your demand relative to a basket of currencies that you have, such that we keep our foreign currency strong. But it cannot be too strong, or else it makes us not competitive. But in a way, it's a good cycle. Is that if you're able to have high value add, then you can have a certain strength in your foreign currency. So it's sort of this equation that add together where your C plus I plus G plus X minus N, which is basically your discretionary consumption. We want it to be high so that we have more propensity to spend. More of us have more income, disposable income. We must get people to spend. People must go and buy, for example, like Nita shoes. They're willing to pay discretionary consumption like this. Foreign direct investment, when you've got a petrochemical plants, you've got your Dyson building the headquarters here. And G, there's only so much infrastructure they can do. And the key thing is what I felt was the export of our services and products and services. Yeah. And we need to be keeping our forex strong such that we can have that. And our future generation, the young people, must work smart and also be very wary that you have what you have today is because of the runway that in the last 50 years the first generation leaders have given us. You're actually building on the runway. You're still in the lift now because of the first 50 years runway that we are still in the helicopter lift. But now if I would cut away the rudder behind, right, you can't go in front or back. So you jolly well need to know your direction very well. You need to clearly know what the world needs. And that only then we can see SG 100. And that's where your assets, to answer that question, that's how your asset can maintain its value or even grow higher.
Okay, thank you. Hey, thanks, really. That was a very good reply. So essentially, it's not straightforward. There are many parts of the equation that we all in our individual fields and professions.
So sometimes when you hear those ministers, when they talk and pick and business, actually they are talking about all this. Actually, when you hear Heng Swee Keat talking, then Chan Chee Seng, they are talking from different manpower view, MTI view, MOF, GIC. So actually the big picture is about this game. We need to play this game delicately well. We need to be a bit paranoid.
Yep. And big picture thinking. You cannot be just knowing your own individual field, like, oh, you're only doing coaching, so no need to know economy. So obviously, I'm a professional coach, but I am always constantly concerned about the overall economy and even technology, which is why technology companies also hire me as a coach. So I think really, thank you so much for explaining. There are a lot more questions, but I'll wait until Charlie finishes his sharing before we answer those questions. Okay, one more time, round of applause for Willie Tan, virtually, okay? Click all the virtual applause at the bottom. Okay, now I would like to introduce Charlie. Charlie is, I tell you, every time I listen to him, my mind, currently my mind is already very rewired by Willie already, but I'm all prepared to be even more rewired by Charlie. He has a lot of data to share, and a lot of companies and government ministries engage his consulting service to share this data. So this data forms sort of like a crystal ball for Charlie. Yeah. Before I pass the time to Charlie, I just want to say that this entire thing is recorded. It's recorded. And if you want to receive the recording, what you need to do is become a SG100 member. Okay, become a SG100 member. And to be a member is completely free and there's no contract. Yeah, essentially we're just a group of kampong boys and girls who want to do our best for Singapore. So I'm going to share with you a screen now to QR code to become a SG100 member, and then we'll add you into a WhatsApp group and a Facebook group. Yeah, and whatever activities we have is from the ground up. That means if nobody comes up with any initiatives to distribute free food or to come up with hackathon or come up with a gala fundraising dinner, then nothing will happen. Yeah, but all of us are very proactive, so definitely something will happen. So I'm going to share a screen right now. I will encourage you to prepare your phones and to volunteer in the SG100 Foundation. Okay, can you please, in about 10 seconds, scan this QR code and just fill up the form to be a SG100 member. Once again, it is absolutely free and there's no 6 months, 1 year, 2 years contract. You can cancel anytime if you don't think it adds value. And we'll be sharing the recording of today's webinar in the Facebook group and in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so without being a member, you will not be able to receive the recording. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, sorry that I have to cut time so short and tight. Right now, I'm going to. Oh, no. The ending is not. Is it 12? No, the ending is 12:30. We started at 10 a.m. and it ends at 12:30. This was written on our flyer. Okay, so if anybody needs to rush off, then really sorry to you. But Charlie will end at 12:30. He has a lot of information to share. Please stay on. So right now, without further ado, Charlie Ang, please give your virtual applause to Charlie Ang.
Hello, Mike. Can you hear me well?
Loud and clear.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm also I'm very thankful for SG100 and Eugene and Willie for inviting me. I spoke my third time already, so it's really also my bit of national service. I do a lot of work with organizations, but I also want fellow Singaporeans to benefit from what I've learned myself. Like just now that earlier session by Willie, I also learned quite a lot.
Hey Charlie,
So
can
just-
I interrupt you
yeah.
for a while? There's a hissing sound when you talk. It's like a rattlesnake. Yeah.
Okay.
You
Let me switch over to another mic.
Yeah. Thank you. If not, it's quite interrupting. Thanks.
Okay, is this better?
Oh, 1,000 times better.
All right. Okay. Just to know that you guys are awake. So a lot of familiar faces. Good to see you guys again, and new faces. So it is a Saturday. So I'm sure everyone is taking time to learn and to be updated. Okay, so I'll make the full use of this 1 hour. Okay, before I just start my presentation, I saw one very interesting question on the World War III. So maybe to let you see a bit of my face before I start the slideshow. Is that actually I wrote an article recently, so waiting to be published, and it's called the How the World Wars of 21st Century Begin. Okay, so my point was that the World Wars of the 20th century, of the last century, was a world war within humanity, was countries and countries fighting, right? But the World Wars of 21st century has actually already started, and it's the war between humanity and Mother Nature, all right? And I draw the analogy of this current COVID-19 as the World War I of 21st century, okay? And if you read history, the World War I was actually humanity's chance to reform itself so that the global conflict doesn't happen again. Right, so it was the period whereby actually we failed to do that. We set up League of Nations, even America wasn't part of it, and eventually it was half-hearted and eventually a futile effort to reform the global system. And why did World War II, the two world wars came out in the first place? In my view, it's because of the technology revolution, right? The whole industrialization and the mass production of weapons. So it's the first industrial war, the World War One. After that, even a larger technological war in World War Two. So when there's a technological revolution, the society, the countries, the politics are all primitive, all right, and they were not able to reform itself. That's why when you get the dictators and fascists and all these people to get hold of these weapons and kind of create this global conflict, global scale conflict, right? So my point is that today we're actually at the start of these world wars of 21st century. Okay, after COVID is over, humanity as a whole has a chance to fix itself, reform itself, awake, so that we avert the larger climate crisis that is coming up. Okay, for those of you who are not tuned into the climate situation, okay, the world can only withstand 1.5 degrees of climate temperature increase. All right, 1.5, we are already about 1.1 degree. Okay, but the UN has only committed to reduce this to 2 degrees. Okay, so there's a gap over there. Based on the current trajectory, the consensus view of scientists is that by the end of this century, we'll reach 3.4 degrees. All right, 3.4 degrees. If you are to look at the map, almost the parts that are habitable today, okay, are all not habitable. The parts that are too cold, not habitable today, it becomes the new green, right? So you are talking about the North Pole, the Scandinavian countries, the Russia, the Canada. So that is the kind of drastic impact that we are heading towards. So we have this chance. Later I'll share with you a concept called strategic inflection point, right? And the world is actually going through this strategic inflection point. It's actually something very frightening, but yet I think most people are not prepared or aware of this huge disruption that is coming up. All right. So that gives me pleasure to start this my presentation. Share my screen.
A business futurist, innovation. My name is Charlie Ang. And I'm a business futurist, innovation strategist, and future of work expert. I help organizations and executives to preview, preempt, and prepare for the future economy. In other words, I guide them to become future ready or even future leading in this fourth industrial revolution. Work with me to make hyperspeed change your best friend instead of your worst enemy.
Okay, I hope you managed to capture what I say in the short video. But I play the video because I have a message to share with you. All right, and the message is that how can you thrive in this chaotic world? The more chaotic the world is, the more you thrive, right? Whereas by default, maybe 95-98% of the people will suffer when the world is more chaotic, right? So you just look at what I do. By nature of what I do, the more chaotic the world is, the more my business will thrive, right? So how can you flip it around so that it's actually your advantage and you're fully prepared for this disruption? And this is my message since 4 or 5 years ago, even before nobody has predicted this current chaotic times we are in, but I'm fully prepared for it. So I have a question for you now, and this presentation can go 2 ways. All right, one way is that you want me to sweet talk, all right, give you the movie Matrix, and Morpheus asked Neo, do you want the blue pill or the red pill? All right, the blue pill is that you fall asleep and you wake up, nothing has changed, and your worldview is the same, and life goes happily ever after, hopefully, right? Whereas the red pill would serve you the hard truth. It's painful, it's bitter, but you raise your consciousness, and from then onwards, you see the world differently, you behave differently, and you lead your life differently, because you are conscious of the real and the new reality. Okay, if you want the blue pill, so please key in blue, otherwise key in red. There's no purple, so choose either one. Okay, so I'll go with the majority. All right, I haven't seen a blue yet, so far all red. Okay, nice. All right, nice. All right. So you guys want a whole hard truth, so this is a bit like taking a shower, okay? And after that, I'll help you to warm up yourself after the shower, so it's not so cold, right? Ironically, for the past 7-8 years of what I've been doing, most people just want to hear the sweet truth. Sorry, the sweet talk. Because in good times, nobody would think, hey, the world is going to be hit or be impacted, or it will affect their life negatively, right? Because they think of the world going in a straight line. Okay, they think the world is just going to get better and better and better all the time. There's nothing in the history of humanity or economics that say that life will always be better. So in good times, they are complacent, they are comfortable, and they are not willing to hear of negative things. They think, you're just a naysayer or fearmonger. So, but there are also those people who are, whether it's entrepreneurs, leaders, or professionals, who are a bit what I call paranoid, right? Maybe you all have heard of or read the book, Only the Paranoid Survive, right? By Andrew Grove. Later I'll share with you the cover of the book. And today, honestly, only the paranoid survive. No one is going to look out for you. No company is going to look out for you. No customer is going to look out for you. Only you can look out for yourself. Okay, so it's good that you have this. You want to hope this hard truth, because we all need hard truth, so that we can see how to overcome, or what I call this hope for the best, but you plan for the worst, right? So you want to actually know what is the worst situation, and then you actually can learn how to navigate in this difficulty. If the world is any better, congratulations, then it's a bonus for all of us, right? So I'm sure all of you, in fact, most, if not all of you, find that this COVID pandemic is shocking. A scale of this kind of disruption, I'm sure you guys would think that this is so shocking, right? Feeling, thinking, and sleeping over it, right? But I spent the last 2 years helping my audience, helping companies, helping entrepreneurs, professionals understand that this perfect storm in 2020 is coming, okay? And why almost very few organizations, very few professionals are actually prepared for this, right? So this was my keynote topic for the whole of last year, okay? And again, this is the red pill, and a lot of people would not want to hear the red pill. They want to hear sweet talk, right? So this was what I delivered to 300 risk managers. So they are corporate risk directors of MNCs or Asia conglomerates in Asia. And this was what the keynote I delivered in KL. Just November. It feels like so different time and so long ago, right? Just 6 months ago. And my summary slide was this. I said 3 big risks your companies will face, right? So they help their companies overcome and hopefully mitigate some or eliminate, if possible, some of these risks. And I told them these are 3 risks that is not conventionally what you guys have done, okay? And these are the biggest risks that will put your company out of business, right? So number 1 is technological disruption risk, which is how technology will be combined together within your industry, sometimes by startups, sometimes by the likes of Alibaba or Grab, to put your business out of business, right? So this is not a straight line, okay? This is a disruption line, just like what the Willie showed just now, all right? Number 2 is that what I call never in our lifetime risk. Why never in our lifetime risk? Unless anyone in the room is over 100 years old. Otherwise, My reference point is not 2008 financial crisis. It's not SARS. It's not like .com. It's not Asian financial crisis. My reference point is the two World War period, and in between, in between there's a Great Depression. And now, as you may have heard before many times already, this is as big, if not even bigger than the Great Depression. IMF, and I think IMF chief has said that this is our greatest crisis. I think it's the UN chief, greatest crisis since the two world wars, right? Even the German chancellor has said it. So our reference point now is quickly reset back to the World War period. Yeah, so it's all along been what I believe will happen in this decade. And this frequency and severity of black swans, and black swans are high impact. In this case, COVID is a super high impact, but to the average person, low probability event. All right, so this black swan is something we'll just see proliferate, one after another. This COVID-19 is one, what I call a mother black swan, right? That will give birth to many black swan. If you didn't realize that the oil market is upended today, turned upside down, because it's caused by this mother black swan, and now it's created the oil crisis, another black swan. So I just want to make some passing remarks about COVID-19 because Billy has covered it quite well. Okay, so I just want to, in fact, this will put together some of the things he has said. So this 2020s is this, okay? It doesn't change much, but it has accelerated a lot, all right? What I call these accelerations that will happen, okay? There are three accelerations that will happen with or without COVID in 2020s, okay? And this has been what I've been talking about for the last few years. So there's no change to that. It's just that it's brought forward to today. So just imagine if without COVID, we'll be doing this Zoom anyway, 5 years time, but in immersive reality mode, right? But because of COVID, this has been accelerated. So this whole concept of fourth industrial revolution, and you look at my backdrop is actually 4.0. So I'm a firm believer. In fact, I advocate 4.0 in Singapore and around the world as one of the pioneers. So this digital disruption of industries and business model, like what really share with you, adoption of all these robotics, all these will be accelerated, okay? A lot of things that will happen in the next 5, 6, 7 years is here today, and it will not go away after this crisis. Many of these will be sticky and accelerate what would otherwise be inevitable anyway. The second one is this geopolitical order. It doesn't change anything, all right? The world is going through from this one so-called world order into two fragmented world system. And today, we use the term bipolar. In fact, we are not bipolar, we're apolar. Apolar means that no one is at the leadership of the world. Bipolar is two powers trying to fight, right? So we are at the stage, interim stage, where actually no country wants to take the lead or able to take the lead, right? So you can see this whole pandemic, G20 come together, G7 come together, and there's no impact, no influence, even at the UN level, right? So this east to west power shift, escalation of this impact on the US-China relations, making worse, much worse, right? European Union has been fragmented and fragmenting as part of the whole erosion of global world order, right? So the third one is the people's, the companies, the business response to climate change, right? Climate change is not just a G to G, country to country, international, multilateral kind of effort. But in this decade, I see that companies and the new operating model, a new kind of capitalism, what we call multi-stakeholder instead of shareholder capitalism, will take place and will become more and more and more in the mainstream, right? This is a very fringe movement, sometimes classified more as CSR, sometimes more as this social enterprise. All companies have to be social in future, okay? It's just a matter of, it's just a whole movement, including the capital, will also start to chase conscious business, all right? So we are actually seeing globalization reflux, okay? I want to qualify this first. if you are talking about goods and manufacturing of things, okay, this integrated global supply chain will fragment into regional supply chains. So the Asia supply chains will strengthen and continue, whereas North America will try to break away and create its own supply chain as much as possible, as well as European will be less dependent on Chinese manufacturing, right? So we will see more of this regionalization, not all, but a kind of a reversal or shift back in terms of not necessarily localization, but regionalization, right? But if you are in services, okay, services is on the reverse. Services is going from globalization to hyper globalization, right? Just like we are doing this today, if you are going consulting, like Eugene in coaching, I'm in training, I'm in leadership, and sometimes even consumer services, many of these will be hyper globalized. So instead of doing it physically in your schools, in your premises, now this new way of working, this new way of even lifestyle, right? This will enable businesses to really grow global. When we say digital, actually it's about going regional, extending from your market space, right? Going from scarcity to abundance. So if you're in services, if it's not regulated, then this will be a big boost if you are on the right track, right? If you are digital and able to harness all the marketing channels and software as a service type of platforms, then you can scale a lot. So imagine for services, what you have is a lot of small ponds, like, and small reservoirs, small lakes, right? But this COVID is like one big a tsunami wave. After that, it becomes one big ocean, right? So you can see that, the fishes from the river, from the lakes, will all swim up and swim into each other's territory and compete at a higher plane. So that is if you're in services, that is the competition, but that's also the opportunity space, right? Now easily you can extend to Southeast Asia or other parts of Asia or even the West if you are prepared enough. And unfortunately, this COVID, as you see, has exacerbated this, I'll call, not necessarily a clash of civilizations, but I would say a collision of values, right? And what kind of values are we talking about? What 911 was? 911 was the period whereby it's a bit of these Western values, and this conflict with Islamic values, right? The whole Islamic civilization, the terrorist attacks, all these are the flashpoints, right? The stress that created into some real life and eventually to two wars in the Middle East, or even another two proxy wars. But what happened is that if this escalates and US president and other Western powers follow his lead and then racialize this thing, then it could become a 911 moment for ethnic Chinese around the world. So that is not just, that's in fact not just Chinese, because sometimes Westerners can't tell the Koreans, the Japanese. So it's a lot of racialization of these differences, such that it will not be safe for even our kids, right, to go over to the West to study. Just like how the Arabs, the Muslims are prejudiced, after 911. So that is the extent of the worst case scenario, I would say. But we can see that we are taking baby steps towards that. Especially this whole issue, it's not just politicized between countries, but it's actually racialized between one race or one kind of values with another set of values. So that will also impact, obviously, travel will not be the same anymore, and talent movement and all this. And there's a potential, if that happens, just now the scenario happens, Asians will more travel and study and work in Asia rather than go to the West. Just like how the Arabs, come to this part of the world, Indonesia, Malaysia, after 911. Okay. So what I want to share with you is not about the COVID. The COVID is one incident in this decade, okay? Just like what you saw now, just now I show you the perfect storm in 2020s. I'm fully convinced 2020s will be, even without COVID, will be massive, and with the COVID, it will be a lot worse. Okay, so I want you to think about this from 4 vantage points. We're all wearing different hats. One hat is our country, right? So another hat is our business or our companies that you work for, your own career, your own children. So I want all of us to do well. Obviously, our country, our business to do well, and professionally for you guys to do well, as well as the next generation. SG100 is very much about longevity and perpetuity, right? So I'm going to share with you how we can navigate this, not just to survive this, but really to thrive this. Okay, and later on, when I share with you, you internalize these from these 4 points of view. Okay, we can discuss these 2 strategies and how we can be applied to all these 4 levels. Okay, when I'm doing this with business, obviously my focus is with business. When I do it professional sense, professionals. But today we are all wearing different hats, sometimes even all 4 hats, right? So I want to share with you, okay, first, why 2020 is different and why our mental model up to today is obsolete, and how and why we need to discard it quickly. Okay, this paradigm is not, it has brought us to here where we are today. It's good, but moving forward, if we still use the same mindset, it will be dangerous. Okay, and that's why during this COVID crisis, many people are going on a crash course because they are using an old mental model. Okay, and the earlier, just like the world-renowned late Alvin Toffler, global futurist, the father of all futurists, said that 21st century competency is not about literacy, right? It's about ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So some of the things that we have to unlearn so that we can adopt and upgrade our mental model. And finally, I'm going to share with you 2 breakthrough strategies, okay, to help you thrive, okay, and in that 4 level: country, company, career, and even your kids. These are what I constantly think about. Okay, so this is my most important slide, and I've been consistent about this. I've been doing this for years, and I want to help and people reset their worldview. And one of the things is that this transition that happened 3 months ago, now 5 months ago now, is humanity finishing the old chapter and moving to a new chapter. It's almost entirely different. Okay, and the earlier we wake up to that, the earlier we realize, the better. Okay, otherwise you are taking the old world thinking into the new world. Okay, so there's something big that happened in 1989, and all of us should be, in a way, historian. If we want to better understand the future, we better be historians. All right, that's why I'm quite a fanatic historian. Okay, something big happened in 1989, and I recognize that some of you may not be even born yet, right? But what is the major thing that happened in 1989 that started this 30-year one world order? So can I ask you guys to put on your thinking cap and key in what do you think is the largest event just before 1990? Very good, very good. I see the answer right away. Invasion of Iraq is 2001. Internet is about 1995. Okay, I saw that. Fall of Berlin, right? November 6, 1989. In fact, last year when I was in KL, it was about the date whereby they celebrate the 30-year Fall of Berlin Wall. Okay, that fundamentally shifted the world, right? Because from a superpower, this is a Cold War, now it becomes a one hyperpower-led world order. Okay, so in the last 30 years, and Singapore rode on these 4 mega trends and benefited, okay, on these 4 mega trends. Okay, and these 4 mega trends are ending already. So what are they? They are this non-stop, relentless globalization, and that is obviously tied to the rise of China. When China entered WTO in 2001, okay, that's like 19 years ago, right? Chinese economy grew by 9 times, 9x. Okay, whereas the US economy just barely grew by 2x. That's how they catch up so quickly, right? And then globalization and large countries, you urbanize. So in this period, we become more city-based, and majority of humans are living in cities. And the first generation, what I call a 3.0 technology wave, okay? Today we are moving into 4.0, okay? So 2.0 is 3.0 is ending, okay? And what is 3.0? What is 4.0? Okay, 3.0 is information technology. Okay, it's your internet, it's your microprocessors, your PCs. All these things is fit to the human mind. Okay, but there's a limit how fast we process this. If you give me big data, I cannot process it. It's useless to me, right? So today we are reaching a limit. That's why we all have information overload. Okay, and we need, in order to chart the next level of growth for humanity, we need to unleash the limits of our human mind, to go beyond the human minds, to solve a lot of global problems. Just look at this. Perhaps with AI, instead of 18 months COVID using human researchers, maybe 6 months, even 3 months, right? Using AI to simulate and even do the drug discovery, vaccine development, right? Perhaps, and you can understand this vaccine development is a trillion dollar question, because the later it happens, the more damage COVID will create, right? So now we are transiting into the new 2020s, okay? And I want to give you the red pill. One of the parts of the red pill here is that this period of stability, progress, predictability will never happen in our lifetime ever again. Okay, you can look back to those days as sweet memories, because it will never happen. All indicators show that the world will be a lot more chaotic, in some ways a lot more bloody, but more bloody with the climate, with the environment, a lot more turbulence, volatility, whatever word you want to call it, right? So that period of, and I grew up during and start to work and thrive during this period. If I'm still thinking of just the same old strategies from there to the next, okay, good luck. It's passé already. All right. So this is the part whereby I want to come back and crowdsource your wisdom. What do you think is the next 4 mega trends? Okay, that would drive. What happened is that this trend has been here for some time. 2020s, it will start to take off. Okay, this is going from linear to exponential. Whereas the other 4 will go from, will grow and taper off, right? All these trends right on the kind of S curve, right? Even globalization potentially is on the even down curve, right? So none of these 4 should shock you when you see them. All right, because you read newspaper left, right, center, it's all about these 4 trends. It's just that we haven't internalized and haven't applied this in our whatever we do. So let me look at check the answers now. Can you guys just key in? All right, I see polarization of internet, automation. Oh, okay. Anyway, I've reviewed the whole piece. Okay, so we are going from 3.0. Digital adoption. Digital will be passé, this word. I use another word called fusion. All right. 4th industrial revolution. Okay, this whole technology will drive. Again, I want to remind you, the industrial revolution caused the world wars. Okay, caused societies to fracture, international order to break down. Similarly, the technology revolution precedes political and social and economic revolution. Okay, that is the scale of things that are happening, right? And you can see, for those who are more in tune, right? Maybe you have heard of the term universal basic income, right? Where because people are not employable anymore. It's called technological unemployment, right? And when that happens, government has to give out free money, subsistence money, so that the society can still survive and have a livelihood. Say 30-40% of the workforce, right? So you can see that COVID has made that happen, right? In America today, that's what they're trying to do. So I'll say this COVID is a very good experiment of what's coming up. Okay, both technologically and in terms of our environment. And this, just now I shared with you, this geopolitical order is looking very frightening. You know, Singapore is right smack in the middle, and India is also rising. I'll say that for those who are not tuned in, okay, what happened is that in 2030s, if Southeast Asia is a country, Southeast Asia will be the third largest economy in the world, okay, based on PPP terms, purchasing power parity. And Indonesia will be the fourth, okay. Number 2 will be India, and USA will be number 3. So if you look at where we are, Singapore is right smack in the middle, okay. We don't have to move to the center of the world because the center of the world is moving to us, okay. That would also make this location, right, hypersensitive, there's so much complexity and risk involved if we don't play our cards right, okay. And the fourth one is obviously what we can observe in all our homes, our households, rapidly aging of population, right? So these things has been talking about for some time, and all will spike in 2020s, right? Like Al Gore has been talking about climate change when he was a young senator in 1980s, right? But the impact of all this was set in, okay? So we are facing all these 4 disruptions because we are all not prepared for it. Not the speed, the extent, and the scale of all these things. In fact, as I said, COVID is a number 3, is an environmental challenge created by overpopulation. So we are moving from a relative predictability to extreme uncertainty. Okay, so how many people can cope with this shift, right? And we're moving from a one world order to a chaotic world disorder. Okay, so as we can see now, this whole pandemic is a whole world of mess and disorder. Okay, so very quickly, I want to show you this simple mental model to help you visualize and understand events, okay, happening around the world. So left to right, it is events of low probability to high probability. Vertical axis is low impact to high impact. Okay, so we don't care about low impact event. Those are noise. Okay, what we care about is these mega trends. Okay, I shared with you 4 already, right? And then these black swans, which are high impact and low probability. So with these 4 new mega trends, it puts a lot of stress, okay, on all our global systems, right? Our economic system, our globalization, our financial system, geopolitical, consumer behavior. It puts so much stress that it will break down the old system and create all these black swans. Just like your car that is designed to go at 200 kilometers per hour, you drive almost at the breakneck speed for a few hours. Things are going to start to break down. All these black swans are going to start to happen and malfunction. That's what we are observing today. Okay, this hyper globalization within any part of the world, 30 hours you can fly from Wuhan to any part of the world, right? This is over globalization, and when that happens, then we are allowing risk from one place to cascade instantly throughout the world, whether you're talking of financial crisis, terrorist attack, or in this case, a pandemic. So let's talk about our mental model, okay? So whether you're talking about a country, company, or your career, in the last 30 years, we go for performance. What does performance mean? Performance means that it's a straight line, a road that is going on almost like you think it's forever, a straight road. And if a straight road, if you're driving, you go for performance, right? You go for to step on the accelerator and go 200 kilometers per hour non-stop, right? So everyone is focused about efficiency, you know, squeeze the every last drop, all right? And that is okay, perfectly fine when it's relatively predictable, okay? When we enter a world of extreme uncertainty, suddenly the road turns windy, just like a mountainous road, right? And you will just see cars flying off the road based on this model, okay? You even see whole countries flying off the road Just like America doesn't have enough PPE, doesn't have most of its pharmaceutical exports is from China and India. It doesn't have many of these basic security goods, basic necessity and medical goods, right? Even the whole country is going on a crash course and exposed by the pandemic. Much less companies, there's a lot are going bust, right? So we cannot use that mental model anymore. So what is the new mental model that we need? All right, performance is still very important. All right, make no mistake. Okay, if there's no performance, then there's no productivity, there's no growth. Okay, but it's not enough anymore. All right, countries has wake up, companies has wake up, and your career, you have to wake that up as well. Okay, not every dollar you earn, you go for every dollar. You go for a lot other things today. Okay, so what we want to do is upgrade our mental model. Companies and yourself have to upgrade your mental model. It's just like how humans, when we started, we have a very primitive mind. And then over time, when the world becomes more and more complex and dangerous, we start to develop higher and higher thinking, higher order thinking, right? Until today, we are creative and, we can do magical things with our brains. Similarly, when the environment becomes more sophisticated, eventually it's a Darwinian theory, right? Whoever can adopt better and create higher order thinking will survive. So I'm going to share with you this mindset of Thrive, consisting of 2 strategies. Okay, so these 2 are big words. No, I don't apologize for it. These 2 are big words. Why? Because the simple things has all been done already. If you want to really up your game, you have to adopt more sophisticated strategies. Okay, so if you want to go for the simple things, unfortunately, the world is not going to get any easier. Your career, your business, to give you another red pill, it's not going to get any easier. It's going to just be a crazy world out there, Wild West. Okay, so what we need is a Thrive mindset. And what is a Thrive mindset? A Thrive mindset consists of 2 parts. To thrive, first, you need to make sure that you survive first. Okay, you need to ensure you put in whatever you do to make sure you are defensive, you are guarded. All right, and selectively you go on you bet on certain things. You're aggressive on certain things, right? So imagine you are to this is a military battle, and the general send all the troops to attack the enemy, right? But when the enemy do a flank, you're dead. You'll lose the war, right? So in this extreme uncertainty period, in order for everyone to do well, or at least minimally, they need to make sure they are guarded. Okay, and then after that, is selectively find the opportunities that they go and bet, because they are protected already. Just look at the company like HyFlux, right? They bet the whole house on one project. When they go for that extremely prestigious, lucrative project, they did not guard the house. They did not ring fence the company. Okay, that is a huge mistake from a risk management as well as a strategic point of view, right? So make sure whatever we do, okay, we need to make sure we protect our homes, our home territory, our business, to make sure the core things survive in these times of change. Then we selectively be aggressive. Okay, I'll come to that a bit more. So back to this. Many black swans will create global black swan events, extinction events for companies. For many people's career, maybe a career ending as well. Okay, and for these industry disruption events created by mega trends, especially technology, will make many businesses redundant. So what we need to deal with both is anti-fragility. Okay, this is the mindset to thrive with chaos. Okay, turning risk into opportunities. Later we can talk about specific examples. And the second point is ambidexterity. Prepare for strategic shift ahead of time. Okay, I want to tell you one thing. The companies that are all benefiting from COVID today, they are not lucky. They have been preparing for it for years. They are ahead, and they want to even lead the development and acceleration of the future. And then when this COVID happened, it just moved this future a few years ahead. They are benefiting because they are preparing themselves ahead of others. Okay, it's not by chance. So I'm going to kind of show you and help to illustrate these two concepts: anti-fragility. When you think of this, think about country, company, your career, and children as well, your kids, for those who are parents. So going on this paradigm, when we go in 2020s, our old paradigm will lead us to a crash course. Even you survive COVID, you may not survive the rest. Okay. So what we need is an anti-fragile mindset. What is anti-fragility? Anti-fragility is reverse of fragility. Fragility means that you drop a glass, it will break. Okay, we always see our resilient, right? Especially now, we need resilient supply chains. Our companies need resilient financial management and things like that, right? Yes, resilient is good, but resilient doesn't do anything for you. Okay, if you drop like a rubber object, the rubber object doesn't benefit from the impact. Okay, what you want is anti-fragility. So imagine fragile is -1, resilient is 0, anti-fragile is +1. It means when you drop something, an object, the object becomes stronger. You just think of our brains, right? The more we put stress, the more we learn, the more we study, the more we go through experiences, our mind will keep growing. Our mind actually grows with anti-fragility, with impact, with stress. That's why all of you are here today. You are here to put stress so that your mind grows and will never get back to its old form again, right? So just now I shared with you, right? I help organizations and executive preview and prepare for the disruptive future. So the business I'm doing, this will thrive when the world is more and more disorder. It's not that I want it to happen, but I see that this is the world that is going to happen. And the more chaotic the world will be, the more my business will thrive. Can your career have the same thing or not? Have the same powerful feature or not? Can your kids thrive in 2020s? My 2 kids going to enter the workforce in 2030s. The world is so damn different, right? And since day one they are born, I'm preparing them for that world and making them super hyper anti-fragile. All right. So I think I have one more chart here. Let me try to wrap up in a few minutes. Hang on now. Okay, so this is not my concept. Thankfully, this is by Nassim Taleb. You can buy the book or listen to his book talk. But basically, even Harvard is big, and many organizations today are big on this, especially with COVID. So you see this graph actually illustrates this very well. All right, at a certain point, the thing will break. Okay, the thing will bend and then eventually break. Okay, but if your thing, whether it's your company or your career, you can think anti-fragile. You're always trying to see with this crisis, can you become stronger? Okay, and that is a mindset and can translate to different strategies. Later on, if we have time, we can talk about whether Singapore is anti-fragile or not. Okay. So let me pause for 1 minute. I want all of you to key into the box. All right. Whether it's country, company, career, or children, what is the one way you can be anti-fragile? Okay, being more multi-skilled is anti-fragile. If you're single-skilled or single career or single industry, is very anti-fragile. Your industry is gone, you're gone. Your profession is gone, you're gone. So the thrive mindset, yes, the first part is to survive first. Don't go for bet the house on everything that you do. Make sure you're safeguarded enough before you expand and try to capitalize on opportunities, because opportunities in the future will not be so clear cut. You may place a bet and you win 100 times, or 9 out of 10 times you may lose. Collaborate, synergize, yes. Okay, not to pay too much for big items and then be tied to it, right? Use things on demand. Okay. I'm a kind of a fanatic parent. So let me just show this slide. So many of you have seen this, something like this, right? Comfort zone, fear zone, learning zone and growth. So with regards to my kids, every day I've been doing this with them since they are born. Okay, and what do I do with them? From their comfort zone, and a lot of parents are super happy to keep them in comfort zone so that they're comfortable. I do things every day, not every day literally, but all the time, to bring them out so that they are so comfortable in the fear zone that all the time they are into the learning zone. So after a while, their comfort zone keeps growing. And in this, in the future, where the kids today are being kept in the comfort zone, in the future, in a tumultuous, unexpected world, okay, my kids will thrive, whereas the other kids were like, you know what's going on, disoriented and helpless, right? Because today, they are so used to going on the learning zone, being uncomfortable, doing things they've never done before, and picking up so many new skills that they have many. Imagine your chairs have 20 legs, right? Whereas another kid only have 3 legs. When this leg is taken off, the other leg is taken off, the chair will collapse. So my kids will have 20 over legs, right? And you pull these few legs, doesn't matter, there's so many legs, multi-skilled, and they can combine all these things together. So I'm using this to just illustrate how this can be applied at the multiple levels, okay? So I love all your inputs. All right, so this is the concept of what I call embrace the chaos, okay? Anti-fragility. So you are always growing with every crisis. If we have time, we can talk about Singapore, okay? So the second one is to do with this, these mega trends, okay? Make no mistake, all business in one way or another will be disrupted in their current form today. All right, this is my favorite curve. When I love curves, so I use this curve when I do all my business workshops. Okay, businesses have to understand, right? Today they are at the top of this curve, and if they do nothing or do not enough or half-hearted, then they will go down. Right? So I wrote this article in 2014, warning, and in those days the word disruption is not a common business word. All right, and I've been warning, SME is going to get disrupted left, right, center if they do not transform. And those who transform, when this pandemic is here, they are benefiting like hell compared to their peers. So they got stronger in the process. So when they are ambidextrous, they are also anti-fragile. Okay, so this concept is by Andrew Grove. So I believe just now really try to show a similar curve. This strategic inflection point, all right, it's an understood and underappreciated concept. All of you should understand this concept now, okay? All businesses, all careers, because we're all going through this point whereby it's a time in the life of the business where fundamentals are about to change. This change can help you rise to new heights, or it's a beginning of an end, okay? So this is by Andrew Grove, and he was writing about how at Intel in the 1980s, they were the leader in memory chips, but then they were heavily upended by these Chinese, Japanese memory chip makers, undercut. So they are almost on the verge of bankruptcy until they managed to find a new paradigm and rename themselves as a semiconductor company, microprocessor company, and the rest is history. They are many times more successful than before. Okay, so another big concept I quickly share with you, this ambidextrous organization. Okay, this means two things. You are able to exploit the now, means whatever you are trying to do, keep on improving on it. Okay, this is a hygiene factor. This is a taken. Everyone must do it. All right, but doing this is not enough, because this doesn't stop you from being obsolete. Just imagine if Kodak is to improve its manufacturing of digital of this photography. Every film roll to even free of charge. Giving to me, I also got no use because it's useless compared to what's out there, right? So they always need to be exploring their new business, okay? Or exploring your new concept, or in Singapore, exploring new industries. Okay, so that when the old one goes, you already have a new one, right? So this is the explore the now is extending the current curve. Okay, it doesn't save you from a redundancy, right? So what we all need to do is to keep exploring the new curve. Okay, what it is you don't know until you are vested in and learning about the future, the technology, the trends, and putting some of these things together. Then magic will happen, and you find a new trajectory for your career. So a lot of people is this complacency part, right? You're doing well, you're growing financially or professionally, until sometimes suddenly you don't. It's the same behavior as countries, all right? If you talk about for companies, if you talk about Hong Kong today, they are on the way down, okay, because they are not so-called ambidextrous, okay? So with COVID-19, we may have some runway. Today, there's no runway. It's here and now, okay? So I'll quickly invite you to key in, okay? How do you think our country can become, our country, company, or your career, children can become ambidextrous? Okay, key into the chat box. And then I'll formally end my presentation here. It's kind of running tight on time. And I'll let Eugene moderate the questions and then see how much time we have.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Hey, can everyone give Charlie a round of virtual applause? Thank you. Wow. No matter how many times I listen to him, I keep learning new things. This shows how fast he really adapts and prepares for the future. Okay, right now, let me facilitate some of these questions. What's the difference between, wow, this one is a bit too technical. I prefer non-technical question here because technical question can always be Googled, okay? Like difference between AI, machine learning, and deep machine, all this, you can easily watch YouTube and Google. So I prefer to ask Charlie opinion, view-based, insight-based question, okay? Don't ask factual question that can be Googled. Okay.
Can I throw a question out and then I'll answer it also?
Yep.
And my question to you is, do you think Singapore is anti-fragile and ambidextrous? So give me the answer, type in the chat box, yes or no. Then I'll explain. Just key in. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a matter of perspective. Don't worry.
Okay, good. Okay, please key in.
Okay. Okay, right now, no. Okay. All right, okay. Okay, so I'll start answering. My answer is yes. Okay, just think of anti-fragility. What is our biggest weakness?
Hey, sorry, Charlie, you're muted. Charlie, you're muted. Charlie. No, cannot. No, cannot. Okay, try testing the audio again. Just now, suddenly
Testing.
yes, much better.
Testing.
Now you got cut off totally.
Okay. For some reason. So for Singapore, what was our biggest weakness, Achilles heel, like 20 years ago? It was water. Okay, so we turn a weakness into a strength. That is always the mindset. And now today we are a water hub, we're exporting waters, and water is less of an issue, no issue. Similarly, what is our moving forward? Food is going to be the thing, right? Because you may be surprised, in terms of world food resilience, Singapore is actually number 1 in the world today. Okay, but we cannot live. We cannot rest on our laurels. As I show you, the world will be more chaotic in 2030s. Okay, and countries would, just like today, ban export of medicines. Next time you ban the export of food, and so on.
and we have to grow our own food. So 2030s, we want to turn it from a dependent on the world to creating part of our own demand. So 2030s, we are want to provide 30% of our own nutritional needs, right? And a lot of this is not based on a empty piece of paper. It's based on our R&D and our capabilities to extend it. And in part of the process, we create new industries. So that's my short answer. This part I can go on and on. But maybe just one point to make for anti-fragility, a very powerful way of achieving anti-fragility is to learn from other people's mistake. Okay, just use this SARS as this COVID as an example. Because we go through SARS, that's why the East Asian countries have the systems in place to cope for something down the road. But that's not the point. The point is the psychological preparedness. Okay, and that's what's lacking in the West because they have not gone through SARS. So they never think it will happen to them, something so big and it's an Asia disease or whatever. But at the same time, if any of the countries have learned from East Asia what we have done in the past, many of them wouldn't have this problem today. So the best way to learn is not learn from your own mistake. You must learn from your own mistake. But a better way to learn and the cheaper and the less painful way to learn is to learn from other people's mistakes. Then psychologically, you are paranoid and you would prevent it from happening and overcome it when it happens.
Okay, Charlie, thanks. I'm going to categorize some of these questions instead of answering one by one. Yeah, so I think I was scrolling through the question and there's a general category of is there a particular industry we must go into in order to be anti-fragile? That's the first thing. And then the second is there any particular specific tasks we should be doing to prepare for either these industries, either vertically or horizontally?
Okay. First of all, I don't think there's a sunset industry. Okay. All industries will have its future iteration. So all industries are good. It's not which industry you join. Okay. It's what do you do in the industry. Okay. In the past, okay, what we happen is from a 3.0 world. What we have is a 3.0 workforce. Okay. And the 3.0 workforce, this is how it looks like, right? You have the what I call operators, people running the economy in the middle. Then you have technology that's surrounding it to augment it. Okay, so technology is augmenting humans. Moving forward to a 4.0 economy is the flip. Okay, everything that's operational becomes run by the machines, and you have what I call talent 4.0 or workforce 4.0. These are the talents surrounding the technology. These are people who take the technology, build into system, solve global problems, and help consumers. And these are the new kind of talents that we need. These are what I call innovators. Okay, so from a 3.0 to a 4.0 skill set is very different. This part is you learn from a textbook and you learn over years, whatever you study in university and just do it. This part basically is a world of unknowns, the world of hyper learning, the world of this empathy, the world of innovation, including using technology, and everything comes together here. And this is a switch that our workforce is being quite stressed to do it, because many of the new jobs created are not for parents of a certain age, but actually for their children, right? So that is that's the very painful switch. So I would say, take the kind of skill set. Even the most traditional industries can be reinvented. Today, agriculture has been reinvented so that you produce meat in a lab instead of in a farm, right? This is 100,000, 10,000-year-old industry, totally upended, but it's still there, right? So it's the approach and the skill set that we need. Become a 4.0 talent, right? That is being an innovator. And I wrote in one of my articles, I not robot in Straits Times, and why I say my kids in future has to be innovators, because the ideas economy, they will create a lot of value rather than working in a 3.0 economy. The 3.0 jobs, many will not be lost, but the value will all migrate to the 4.0 part.
Okay, Charlie, as a more concrete case study, right? Let's think of industry that I thought was quite sunset, which is the spa and beauty, right? It's very, very hard to imagine how they can turn 4.0. Just using it as a case study.
Yes. No, eventually the industries will be there, but you will look not anything like what it is today. So a spa industry next time with, for example, self-driving car, the car is all roaming around and you order, you jump in and it's on your way to work. And when you finish, you pop off and then you are in another place already, right? So it's not even in the shops anymore. But at the same time, in the future, just like when you watch Ready Player One, when we move to a new, like fully immersive environment, there will be new gadgets. Like today we have camera, we have mouse, and there's new user interface. So next time we may all be wearing body suits, and then we download the kind of program they want to massage us. In fact, part of this spa industry has been disrupted by massage chairs, right? Now it's talking about the full body and full effect massage in the future.
Okay, I see what you mean. I mean, the moment you're a spa owner, you will be creating a very different spa compared to all these kind of old school spa owners. So it's really in the strategy thinking. Okay. Somebody asked about 5.0. Is there such a thing? Are people talking about it already?
Never mind 5.0 lah. This 4.0 will go on for a long, long time. The 4.0 may be our mind's upload. So let's not go that far lah. You can watch movie and you can get a sense.
Yeah, I think
Basically-
somebody wants to freeze his whole
Basically,
body.
5.0 in my mind will be humans all connected now, cognitively. So there's a common human cloud. So there's never mind lah. 4.0 is good enough for us to work on it. We won't even be prepared for 4.0 already. Not to mention anything further.
Sounds like Matrix already. Matrix. Okay, okay, I can't really differentiate what are comments, what are questions. A lot of you are typing. Okay, I'm going to ask a reverse question. You know, looking at all your clients, right? I mean, you have been advising, consulting, training. What's your greatest fear? You know, you get to directly observe them in action. You know, a lot of them attend your workshop. I know you run 1 day, 2 day, 3 day workshops, and then they like, you know, I mean, I'm a coach myself. I know they sort of do nothing. You know. So
Yeah, absolutely.
what about your observation?
So you know, this term change is hard. Transformation is even harder. But if you are afraid of transformation, maybe you're even more afraid of extinction. Okay, the biggest risk to us is all extinction or irrelevance, right? So what you have been doing for the last 30, 40 years, or a company, sometimes my companies even more than 100 years, almost 200 years, one of them. The next 10 years, it can all disappear. And there's enough examples out there. It's just that more and more numbers will come up. So if the psychological part, if we want transformation, the very important thing is, yes, there's a lot of hard work involved, change management, right? But so that one is aspiration. Then at a higher level, there's inspiration. Transform to what, right? So that's where we have to go out and learn and understand the new world. And at the highest level is actually the most difficult. You don't have this, the rest doesn't matter. This is called aspiration. Many a times, the why is not there. The aspiration is not strong enough. So when you try to do things down the road, it's very lip service, right? So aspiration is most critical. I can see a lot of companies, for example, whatever transformation they are doing is quite low level. There's no aspiration at the top, all right? But at this time, I like to add another factor on top. It can be aspiration or it can be desperation, okay? COVID is an example of things that people have not going to do for another next 5 years. Suddenly, in the space of 3 days, we put together and launch it. Okay, that's what our Minister Ong Ye Kung just said also, right? Wow, we're going to have all these e-learning plans in the future. And suddenly, within 3-4 days, they put it together and bang, it happened. So desperation also helps this transformation, because survival and is the mother of all necessity, right?
Okay. Hey, I asked a question about Singapore, slightly more macro. So what do you think currently in 2020, Singapore, the position of Singapore in the geopolitical space, now that COVID-19 is like halfway through, you know, how would you advise, for example, our ministers, which then will trickle down to industries, will then trickle down to people like us who are working in those industries?
I won't want to
there to advise the minister lah. But if you ask me what I believe Singapore is trying to chart our way towards, and we are quite silent about it. Generally, I feel that our economic and strategic plans are, we get there, then you know lah, right? Just like we invent our IR in the space of 10 years. We get there, then we know lah. But in the process, it's kind of hush-hush lah. Because some of these may be quite sensitive internationally. So I think maybe some of you have heard of this, our well-known diplomat, Kishore Mahbubani, and he said, when United Kingdom is the center of the world, the superpower, then London is the capital of the world. And when 20th century US is a superpower, number one, then New York is the center of the world. I believe that when we shift the economic and geopolitical space to Asia, Asia will need a de facto hub for the whole world, okay? De facto capital. And this capital won't be in India, because then you'll be very India looking. It won't be in China, because there's also those power play, right? So the most natural place, okay, what I call a strategic gap. Strategic gap means that we're here, we must do something, but there's an opportunity there, strategic opportunity, actually to elevate us to that level. So if you are to imagine right now, there's this escalating clash of civilizations outside, okay? It's rampant as we see, and it's getting worse, right? So while the whole world cannot work together, this clash of civilizations actually and intentionally is in our DNA. The harmony of civilization is already in Singapore, right? So the biggest, I mean, population-wise, China is here, Indians are here, our neighbors are here, Europeans are, Americans are here. So it's already having that harmony of civilizations in the world here. So we are very natural place to elevate ourselves, in this whole geopolitical system, to become potentially a capital, de facto capital of Asia. Okay, that will bring a lot of opportunities to us. But imagine here becomes the new capital, right? Not of Singapore, but the whole world. That will bring a lot of economic space and opportunity to us. Okay, just imagine we have a United Nations of countries in New York, right? Singapore could become the United Nations of companies, right? If your company is worth any sort, you will have office here, you will have your people on the ground, and here becomes the new hub of companies. If you want to do business, whether east to west, west to east, the same. Singapore is the place to be. And that will also open up, as I said before, ASEAN is one of the third largest economy, and we are one part of it, right? So that creates a lot of tremendous opportunity, but that requires our entrepreneurs, our executive, and whoever to up our game, because this is a very politically charged and sensitive situation, and there'll be opportunities. And when we run my workshops, from nothing, they see, oh, because of this, different opportunities will happen. And that is the geopolitical sensitivity that's so important. But our executive doesn't have that. I used to be a diplomat before, so I'm quite in tune with all these things.
Talking about hub, okay, this is my final question because we are running out of time. I sort of grew up in Singapore Stock Exchange, and they are always comparing Singapore versus Hong Kong. And then even before COVID-19, we saw how Hong Kong has a huge disruption. Yeah, so how do you think this will play out in the next, of course, it's hard to predict, but based on your data and your observation, how do you think it will play out between Singapore and Hong Kong in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, Hong Kong is a perfect example of not being anti-fragile and not being ambidextrous. Okay, I'm trying to be objective here, even though I'm like, I'm like on one side. You see, what is Hong Kong's core type of sectors? Okay, three areas. Basically, one is tourism, right? So one is trust. Trust is financial services, the banks, the insurance company, all these, right? Stock exchange. Number 3 is their trade. Okay, this, in fact, I wrote a whole business article about it. You can Google in the Straits Times. Okay, and what happened is that these are the 3 industries, and they never invented anything after that. These are 20th century industries. Whereas just across the street, Shenzhen has the electric vehicles, BYD, the Tencent, is all there. The cutting edge stuff are all there. Nothing in Hong Kong. Whereas Singapore, we are ambidextrous. We're always trying to invent a new curve. So when the old curve is gone, for example, the Arctic ice melt,
we have many other legs to stand on already. Yes, it will impact, like, but it won't be existential, right? So when you look at Hong Kong, these three areas, tourism, with this thing, COVID, no more tourism. Okay, with trust industry, you need peace, right? Stability. With riots, gone, right? And the third one is trade. With this, again, COVID, and then this deglobalization, they are very impacted, and they have no other legs to stand on. There's nothing to reinvent. Whereas Singapore has invented many legs. We have digital economy, we have automation, pharmaceutical, semiconductor, petrochemical, so many, right? Constantly biomedical research and all these ongoing. And our research efforts now will further benefit because of this the move, especially more healthcare, more digital economy, right? So Singapore is always thinking about being ambidextrous and anti-fragile. So generally, in my view, Hong Kong is on the way down because I find that Hong Kong economy is parasitic on Chinese economy. It's just that they may not want to recognize it or they believe in it. But as an external party, this is what I fully view. And if the tensions with China ongoing, or if China kind of undercut them, then there's very little prospects for Hong Kong, in my view. So that's why I saw that in the curve they're on the way down, because there's nothing to reinvent.
Hey, thank you, Charlie. Like what Eric say, your comments for Singapore gives me new hope. Okay, provided that our 4G leaders play this game. I fully agree. As someone with 3 young kids, I'm very concerned that my kids will continue to thrive, and their kids, my grandkids, will continue to thrive. And I think it is reliant on what we do today. Yeah, which is why we invited you, we invited Willie, and we are organizing this. And I hope everyone, when you listen to this, you don't think that, oh, now that we learn all this knowledge, now our life will become better. Okay, I'm afraid not. Yeah, as what Charlie said earlier, and what I personally observe as a life coach, a lot of people, they don't do anything. Because when you ask them, why are you transforming? They say, oh, I'm afraid to be redundant. Yeah, that is driven by fear, the base. But what Charlie just said is you should be visionary, like our dear Lee Kuan Yew, thinking about, hey, what will my family be like? What will be my career be like in 10 to 20 years' time? I mean, that's the question I ask myself all the time.
Yes.
And then you have to constantly learn, connect. Like, for example, how did Charlie and I even know each other? How did Willie and I even know each other? Just barely 4 years ago, all 3 of us don't know each other. We were complete strangers. But here we are synergizing to offer value, to 47 to 50 participants staying in Singapore. So I think this cannot stop here. All of us need to continue to connect. Like, please connect with Charlie, by the way. He is very open on Facebook and LinkedIn. Please connect with Willie, and please connect with me. And this is just the beginning. Constantly connect, synergize. And even if you feel that you're not prepared now, just by synergizing, you'll be prepared a lot faster. Okay, for example, me, I'm a very good case study. I know zero about technology. I even fumble a lot on Zoom, which is so easy to use. Yeah, but the moment I know people like Willie and Charlie, wow, suddenly the financial engine is here. Suddenly the technological giant is here. Then I feel a lot more confident because I know these 2 friends. Yeah, so this is my parting shot for all of you as the head of membership of SG100. Please do not just take notes, and then after that, throw away the paper. Okay, start doing something differently for your spa industry. And Carson asked about sports industry. Some of you are tutors, some of you are trainers. It doesn't matter which industry vertical you're in. It's time to keep connecting with all these different experts and synergize. Then you can be prepared for the post-COVID-19 future. Okay, yes.
Can I give a last nugget?
Yes, please go ahead.
And this also tie into what just now this Willie keep emphasizing on.
Yes.
On this insight, is that insight is something like this. What everybody see, okay, you see what everybody see, but you think what nobody thinks. Okay, and that is what we need, because if you see what everyone sees, it's a common, just at the level playing field, right? And the more Singapore can be that, and the more we can be that, the more advantageous we are. Something that you see that will make a difference, but your competitors do not, or your peers do not. That's my last point.
You have a lot of quotable quotes today. Can start printing t-shirt with your quotes. Okay, I'm going to show 2 last slides so that we don't just end this call and then don't connect. Okay, I'm going to invite you one more time to join SG100 Foundation as a volunteer member. There's no fees to pay. There's no contract to sign. Basically, we are all people staying in Singapore. Citizens, non-citizens, doesn't matter. And we want to contribute to better the lives of other people staying in Singapore. You see, I'm very careful to say not Singaporean, but people staying in Singapore. So please scan this code right now. Just now I had a check. Only 9 of you. There are 47 people here, but 9 wants to join SG100. There's a serious problem, okay? So please scan this right now, and then let's connect, and then we will send the recording to you in the Facebook group and in the WhatsApp group. So I'm going to give you 5 more seconds to scan this. If you don't even know how to scan the QR code, forget about Singapore 4.0, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and one final invitation for people who are 21 to 35, okay, years old, 21 to 35. We would like to invite you to join our mentorship program where a few senior leaders will mentor you for free. Yeah, but if you are not 21 to 35, you can invite other people who are 21 to 35, maybe your children, maybe your sibling, who knows, okay? Then we will mentor them to prepare for Industry 4.0. Okay, so with that, I'm Eugene Xia. I want to thank Willie Tan, I want to thank Charlie Ang, and I want to thank all of you for taking a Saturday morning to join us. Please keep in touch and have a very good day. Okay, please, if you can, leave some positive comments for Charlie, Willie, or SG100, okay, before you leave. You can leave it in the chat group to spread some positive energy, and then enjoy your lunch. Oh, those who couldn't do the QR code, there is a URL there. I purposely shortened the URL so that you can easily type in. Okay, I'm always 2 steps ahead. Okay, so you can see the tinyurl.com/SG100 mentorship. Very easy to remember. It's not one of those gibberish like QXRTV. Okay, it is just tinyurl.com/SG100 mentorship. And the other one is also a shortened one. There's tinyurl.com/SG100 member. Okay, SG100 member. Very, very easy to remember and type into your browser. Remember to leave some positive comments for Charlie and Willie before you go for lunch. It is nice to give thanks and be grateful. Thank you. Okay, remember to connect on LinkedIn as well with Willie, Charlie, and me. Okay, all 3 of us are always sharing something interesting there. Still have 24 of you. Maybe they are waiting for us to sing song. Yeah. Okay, if you have ideas how we can run other SG100 session, please feel free to suggest as well. Okay, we are all very transparent and contactable on Facebook or LinkedIn. Give us suggestions. You know, what other topics do you want to hear? You know, I will connect with industry experts to bring you other events. Okay. Okay, still 20 of you left. Yeah, please send some suggestions or appreciation, or if you still have questions, please type it in. We may not answer now, but at least we know what you're thinking about. Wow, wonderful. Charlie, you have made us clearer in the vision. Wow, that's very nice.
Hopefully sleep better also.
I don't think so. It's all nightmare.
After the red pill, don't know can sleep or not.
Everything is nightmare from now on. we should like what you said, the paranoid will survive. Only the paranoid will survive. I love that phrase. I think a lot of people always say, hey, Eugene, can you not be so, like thinking too much, planning too much? Yeah, we need to start planning now or become desperate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, still got 16 of you. Need to sing song already. Charlie, come, pick a song.
Not my forte. Always focus on your core.
Wow, that's a good one. Focus on. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to count down 10 seconds and end this entire thing. Please connect with us online, okay, on LinkedIn or Facebook. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Goodbye, everyone. God bless.
Thanks, Eugene.
Bye-bye.